We're One Shots Tavern, and today we are playing Between Clouds with Andy Licht. Andy is going to be running this demo for us, and we are incredibly excited about it. For those of you who do not know, you can check out our interview with Andy on the podcast feed, but for now, we're going to jump into this.
Joining us is also a friend of the show. It's been on a couple other episodes, Will Mesler. Thank you for being here today, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Hello. We are all just, and we were saying this earlier to Andy, we're just coming off of Gen Con. So even, 48 hours of being home, this might be a little bit calmer of a stream or recording. But yeah, Andy, take it away.
Shall I introduce the game?
Yes, please.
Should I let us know what we're getting into? Marvelous.
Absolutely, please.
Okay. You know what we could even do? Here's how I like to run this. On the very first page, there's an overview of the game. And I always like games with overviews because they're going to set the tone for what we're about to do. Without further ado, if y'all don't mind, I'll actually begin our session by reading this overview. Between Clouds is a game about a family of mutants and their beloved flying beast, working to preserve fragile ecosystems among the sky. They will travel from one location to the next, rescuing precious wildlife, sabotaging industrialists, and finding acceptance in each other's company. The world is post-collapse, set in a time when humans have fled into the skies and away from a poisonous surface below. Now, old-world technology lies in disrepair, requiring constant maintenance to be used. This is no grim apocalypse, however. Green natural life grows wherever it can find purchase. The world is also biopunk, and through biology, all things are possible. Mutated animals, titanic trees, and flying sea life are all commonplace. In this world, our players will encounter sweeping vistas, campfire dinners, swashbuckling sword fights, storms, villains, jailbreaks, schemes, and supernatural abilities.
Storyteller. One player must facilitate the game by assuming the role of storyteller, typically the person who brought this game to the group. They will guide the player's journey across Imperia, presenting them with new scenes and challenges along the way. They take on the role of the Kirin itself.
Kirin. Between Clouds is centered around immense flying mammals known as Kirin. They are creatures of mythical proportions and masters of the natural world, feared by humans and hunted for their resources. The storyteller must create their own Kirin, consulting the group as they do.
Symbiotes. Players assume the role of symbiotes, colorful outcasts who have forged their symbiotic links with the Kirin. They are shunned by society, often labeled as miscreants and anarchists. Through their Kirin, they play and gain access to biological abilities that will give them an edge against poachers and industrialists.
The family. The symbiotes and their Kirin together create a found family, simply referred to as the family, throughout. They share a biological connection as well as a spiritual bond. In a world that fears symbiotes and Kirin, they are each other's home. That gives us the tools, the concepts for what we'll be playing with today. So, the very first thing we'll do, actually, is we will create our Kirin together, since this will act as the nucleus for our family. So to do this, if y'all could reference the rulebook, the digital edition of the rulebook that is sent, and I am on page 26.
Oh.
The Kirin is created, we could pick, but, I like the idea that this Kirin is finding the symbiotes out in the world, and they don't necessarily get to choose what comes to them, it's kind of this like natural, spontaneous thing. So that's where the element of random chance comes into play for me. So without further ado, if someone, any volunteer, would like to roll 2 6-sided dice.
I got this. I'm ready. We got a 5 and a 3.
Great. This is for our Kirin's breed. And mind you, Kirin are these kind of like biological chimera. They have genetics from thousands of different kinds of creatures. They're these biological anomalies. So it's not truly this animal, but this is the way that the Kirin presents. And our options are a feline Kirin resembling a cat, or a caprine Kirin resembling a goat, of some kind. If you're looking for alternate picks in either of those,
Gotta be the goat.
Goat.
a few cat ideas.
Okay.
Whoa, it's strong. Goat?
All
Are we
goat.
all in on goat? Whoa. Okay. The other goat options to tickle your imagination are, like a common farm goat, a mountain goat, an ibex, interesting, or a markhor. I don't even know what that is. I'm so curious to look it up. And yes, I wrote this book. Oh God, what a beautiful animal! All right.
How do you spell
Oh,
it?
So-
definitely the mycor. It's got spirally horns.
Yeah, I encourage anyone listening to look this up if you're interested.
It's the curly goat.
It's the curly fry of goats. It really is.
Absolutely.
Its horns look like little pieces of driftwood. It's so cool. All right. Okay. So, and we don't need to decide exactly how it looks yet, since there's still other things that'll factor into its look, but we know that it is goat-like in some capacity. Next, if I could get someone else to roll 2 6-sided dice, and this will be for the build of our Kieran, its physical attributes.
I'll take it.
2 6-sided dice.
Okay. 5 and a 6 again.
Whoa.
Ooh.
All right. So we either have 2 goats, and they are twins in some capacity, or we have a giant goat, which is a Kieran that dwarfs all others in size.
I like twins. That's fascinating. 2 giant
Yeah.
goats. That feels like Valhalla, kind of like Norse, like 2 goats just like in a sleigh
Like I want a
behind it.
chariot.
Yeah, like a chariot for our saddle.
Mhm.
Love it.
I feel like they need to be shooting lightning or something. Yeah, it's like a metal album cover. Yeah, Will, DJ, does
I'm
twins
completely
sound
cool with that.
Yeah,
acceptable
that
to
sounds
you?
fantastic.
Great. Then let's roll 3 times now. Someone else, you could roll 3 6-sided dice, and if you get any doubles, just roll it again until you don't.
All right, I'll take this one. 1, 2, 4.
This is for our goat's personality, and we need to pick 2 out of these 3. And our options are aggressive, protective, or cautious. Now, what's interesting about the twin Kieran, I've come up against this before, is you could either assign one of each a personality, or you could assign them both personalities, or any other permutation that you like. They are your Kieran, so I'll leave it up to you to decide, but it's just something to think about. So aggressive, protective, or cautious.
I mean, I like protective. I'm torn between cautious and aggressive, right?
But what about a cautiously aggressive goat?
That's confusing.
I've seen some cautiously aggressive animals.
Yeah, they just kind of step forward. They're like, it's like skunks when they start stomping on the ground in front of you.
Right. Or like
Yeah.
certain snakes, they're like, I'm very scared until I'm about to bite you. And
Yeah, true.
yeah. It's a winning combo.
Let's go with cautious. We have a cautious goat and a protective goat.
Love
All
that.
right.
So maybe one's a bit more bold and willing to come to your aid, and the other you cannot expect any help from. The other will be hiding.
It's just
Yep.
full of I told you so's.
Yeah,
We
right.
shouldn't have
gone
gone
there.
We shouldn't have
here.
done this.
It's
Nuh-uh.
like Eeyore.
Oh, poor thing. And so last but not least, we will roll for our Kieran's genotype.
DJ.
The genotype represents its physical manifestation and its affinity to the natural world around it. If you'd like a visual guide for the genotypes, which I put together, you can look on page 39 going forward. There are 6 of them. There are Nightshade Kieran, Tidekeepers, Root Callers, Petal Wings, Storm Eaters, and Star Souls. And what the genotype determines is what kind of biomes the Kieran thrives in, and also what kind of natural wonders it can produce.
Whoa. So it's like roll
Um,
for superpower.
Roll for superpower.
Perfect.
Yes. And this will also be 2 dice, is what it is.
Let's see.
Gosh. Andy, you went too hard. This is so freaking pretty.
It's so good.
3 and 6.
so
Thank you.
pretty.
Thank you.
So,
3 and 6?
Yep.
Okay. So it seems like we will either have a how did I get lost here? 3 and 6. Where whoops, excuse me. 3 and 6 is either a root caller Kieran or a star soul Kieran. So the root caller is like a very woodland kind of animal. It might be covered in moss or have parts of its body that are made of wood. Might have insects crawling about it or flying about it. The star soul, on the other hand, represents some of the most extreme representations of biology. So it features a lot of bioluminescence. Might resemble like little phytoplankton or algae or otherworldly creatures. It is perhaps the most alien of all kinds of Kieran.
Alien goat.
We gotta go with alien go.
Alien goat.
Okay.
Goats. Sorry.
Love it.
Oh.
Love it. Okay. Wow. This gives us a lot to think about. So I'm looking on our list here. We have our breed, our build, our personality, and our genotype. Now, finally, we need to decide on 3 traits for our Kieran. This is the final step before we name it. The breeds do come with recommended traits, which I will share now. The recommended traits for a goat are that they are perceptive, hardy, and strong. But if we're looking at the complete list, you can see wherever the complete list went. This is on page 42. We are welcome to pick our own traits for them. The full list is agile, cute, elusive, ferocious, fisher, so they're good at fishing, hardy, perceptive, strong, and scavenger. Do y'all have any thoughts on what traits these goats might have?
I feel like perceptive and strong makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Scavenger
And-
sounds super interesting to me because it says find something useful for a mechanical job.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you say the setting's like biopunk, but like what would be like an example of technological advancement in the world? Like how tech set are there guns? Not that like, but like
It's a good right. What is the tech like? It's a great question. So I like to lean into the sci-fi weirdness of this game. There is the potential for like AI from the civilization that has since passed. There are robots in the game. So the thought was in the history of it that human civilization became advanced and then climate change happened and things got horrible. And we still have some remnants of that advanced human civilization left behind. So there is a lot of tech. There's a lot of fun tech to play with. It's
Cool.
just old and in a state of disrepair.
Okay. That was more just like curiosity. I do like scavenger, but I'm also fine with perceptive and strong, if that's what we were going towards.
I mean, if we go scavenger and strong, that means any sort of tech that gets sniffed out, we can open the door.
True.
And we all know how our main antagonist
Is a
in any
door.
roleplay game is the door.
Mm. Okay, I'm taking notes over here. Add a door. There's one more thing that I think will
saddle.
give us a good idea of how they might appear. On page 41, this is kind of during character creation, but it'll help us now as well. If you go to page 41, we can look at the Star Soul genotype. And it has a list of core mutations. The core mutations are listed as twinkling bestial eyes, or another option is glowing lines or spots of bioluminescence. Another option is scales or fur marked with bizarre icons or constellations. These are just some of the options available to Star Soul Kieran. But so we need to think about a core mutation. And this is something that's going to be present on the Kieran and also on your symbiotes.
So in the biome section, it mentions fungal.
Yes.
I'm super into that somehow.
Go on.
I don't know, like it like in the matted like fur I don't know if like the fur's like iridescent or something, but then there's like little mushrooms like in the fur kind of coming out from the goats themselves. I think I'd be into that.
Yeah, especially if they're like illuminated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, sorry. I was going
Well-
with like the bioluminescence, but like
Right.
with mushroomy stuff.
But mushrooms. Yeah.
Also, my little biology sidebar here is that sounds like fantasy, but there is a kind of fungus that glows green in the dark. I kid you not. You can grow it at home in a jar. It's really cool. It's not made up. One more thought here. I'm seeing now, so I'm looking at the twins build, which is what we have, and we can actually pick 2 different core mutations. That's kind of the bonus of having twins.
Oh, cool.
So maybe one of them has this mushroomy thing, and then one of them has something else. So
Yeah,
like-
it would be cool to lean into like Earth and then also cosmic, right? So like going super fungal, like
Ooh.
maybe with like oh gosh, I don't know what they're called, but like the flat mushrooms that like pop out of trees, like those are on the horns of the one,
Yeah.
and then the other is like has constellations throughout its fur. Or
Yeah.
what do you think, DJ?
No, yeah, that's what I like. Because I was thinking, like, because they're goats, they got the horns. We even talked about like having the curly horns, but having those be like dark with like stars like shining through them, and it also like being reflected in the fur of the goat. So like you just have like this ridiculous starscape goat.
Right. I kind
Love
of
it.
it's kind of giving astrology in a way almost.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like
Yeah.
Capricorn. It's super cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I also like the idea of like earth and stars, like land and heavens kind of. I think that's
Mhm.
awesome. Cool. Okay, so yeah, maybe one of our core mutations then is these glowing mushrooms, and then the other core mutation could be like these kind of faint constellations or star patterns marked on the
Mhm.
second goat.
With that, I kind of like the idea of the goats being named Heaven and Earth, because lots of funny things can come out of that. I will move Heaven and Earth to get to you, 'cause we have to ride them.
I will literally move heaven and earth, and by that I mean I will kick their butts to
Yeah,
get them moving.
come on.
Right. That's
Ooh.
awesome.
What color do they glow, guys? What's the like? Are we thinking like blue for the bioluminescent, or like a cyan purple, or
I feel like I'm picturing like the fur, like I said, like almost like iridescent, like white, like almost like that gray white.
Oh, yeah.
But when it shimmers, it's all rainbowy. But then like the mushrooms maybe are like peach, kind of like
mm-hmm.
like really
Wow.
bright, contrasting in the white fur.
Love it.
I agree. It also makes me wonder whether heaven or do we like those names? Heaven
Yes,
and earth.
yes, go
I
with
kind
it.
of-
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of love those names actually. Also for the pun, love a pun. It makes me wonder which one, heaven or earth, which one is the protective one, and which one is the cautious one.
I think
for their personalities of
Heaven
the
is
two.
the cautious one,
Oh.
That
because
was right on this. Yeah.
because
See, I
Earth
had it the other
is Earth is grounded.
I'll
Earth
take
is-
it. I was
Ooh.
thinking
Tough.
like heaven is looking
Ooh.
down, and like watching over you kind of thing.
See, I was thinking Heaven was looking down as well,
But
and
also it's like,
judging us.
nah, man, I'm good. That's fine. I like that.
Right. I kind of no, I do see that for heaven. Like if you're already out of the way, why bother? I'm
Yeah.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
See you when you die.
Okay, awesome. So that's heaven and earth. And now that we know who our Kieran is, the core of our family, we can make our symbiotes. Or more like, y'all can make your symbiotes. So
Yes.
let's go to the book and check out the roles, which begin on. And yes, we're
50?
skipping the saddle for now, and that's because the saddle is actually the idle dreaming portion of the game that I mentioned beforehand.
Mm.
Once we
Mhm.
start talking about the saddle, we're basically playing. Starting on 62, you can see the art for what we're talking about. We have the apothecary. There are 9 roles in this game, and the roles just embody who you are, where you come from, and what you're good at. So the apothecary is a master of the natural world and of improvisation, concocting ingredients to both harm and help their allies, harm others and help their allies. Next up, we have the brawler, who is contributing through force and intimidation. They are using their muscle to do good. They're a tough guy. The third role is a captain. The captain being a silver-tongued leader who has connections all over Imperia, and they may not necessarily be in charge of the family entirely, but they have an undeniable charisma that puts them in a speaking role. The fourth role is a duelist, someone who is a master of all arms, both the blade and harpoon. They are dedicated to a code of honor, to some kind of chivalry, and seek to use their abilities to protect the weak. This is a sidebar. You mentioned guns earlier, Andrew. For flavor, there are actually no guns in Between Clouds, but they've all been replaced with harpoon guns to fit the nautical theming of the game and add to the kind of like PG-13 romp-ish nature of the game. So if you want to dual wield guns, you totally can, but they will be harpoon revolvers, if you will.
It's actually a Gatling.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is my blade.
Harpoon Gatling.
No, you can. I think one of the upgrades is like a mounted harpoon gun for your saddle. So
Yes. Wonderful.
it's not out of the question. The fifth role is the fisher. Flying fish are a key resource in the world of Imperia. They're used to keep smaller vessels airborne, and they are also a source of food and currency. Then we have the jester, who is a performer of the arts, whether it be music, comedy, theater, etc. They seek to bring joy to every corner of Imperia. We have a mechanic who is adept with repairing old world technology and keeping cities alive in that way. We have a scoundrel who is a sly charlatan, a rogue, a thief, and a vagabond. And the final role is a wayfinder, who is an explorer that has been to every corner of Imperia and back, and who is adept at navigating difficult weather in the skies. So those are our 9 symbiote roles. I'd love for y'all to discuss what seems interesting to you, talk it out, let me know what questions you have, and we'll take it from there.
I think I would like to be a fisher.
Do it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. I think if you are leaning towards this, you can have it. I just think it would be super cool and beneficial to have a mechanic in light of the scavenger feature for our Kieran.
I was looking at the Wayfinder.
All right, there you go.
Great. No overlap here.
Choose
I
a
love
gender. Worm, salt, mist, anchor. These are my favorite genders.
Yeah.
Mine is mustache.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was reading J Dragon's Sleepaway, and
Okay.
all of the like camp counselors you play have these really esoteric genders. And I kind of just loved that. You're like
Yeah.
in this game, you're like these like demi-human, kind of like anthropomorphic, bestial people things. Like, why shouldn't your gender be vodka, you know?
Or smokestack.
Or smokestack, right? Like, I don't know.
That's
So as for
awesome.
your character sheets, there is a fillable version
Yes.
in the document that y'all can use. The play kit does also have these, each of the roles listed out. It's just not digitally fillable, but in the physical version, that's the easiest way to do it. I'll use the fillable symbiote sheet and we'll just go along with it. So yes, as you all noticed, the first thing you'll choose for your role is a gender. These genders are abstract, esoteric. You could also write boy or girl if you want. I don't care that much. I just think these ones are much more interesting.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't you?
I went with squid, so
Woo-woo. I love that.
I'm definitely into smokestack. I feel like I'm hitting on
Smokestack
myself.
rocks. Just
I'm a smokestack.
whoa. So the next item, if I understand correctly, is you will choose a trinket for your character. The trinket provides an extra die to a roll whenever it applies to a situation. So if you're a duelist and you're trying to duel, your sword will give you an extra die. But it can apply for many other things as well, however you can see it being used effectively.
I'm thinking for my mechanic, I'm going to do like a very long, like it's a staff, but it's a wrench. Like it's just a very long, lithe handle all the way up. And there's just like, adjustable crescent wrench at the end kind of thing.
I love that.
Tons,
yeah, maybe it's
tons of leverage.
I was just gonna say they built it for the leverage. I feel
Yeah.
like they're like maybe a little more torque. Yeah,
More.
a little more
What about
torsion.
more?
Would more help? It could maybe even be because where would you find such a thing like welded or fused together in some way? Like
Right.
they built this thing
Yeah,
special
definitely.
purpose, right? So after picking your trinket, and this is kind of the order that it goes both on the character sheet and in the book, you'll choose a look for yourself. You do not need to choose just one. The looks are kind of like little accessories or little accents that embody what the role is and what they look like. You must pick at least one, but you are welcome to pick more than one as well. So a duelist would certainly have a cap with one big feather,
Of course.
Of course.
For
Or why
my-
wouldn't the jester have a sequined jacket?
Yeah. My fisher squid is got a big fisherman's hat with a bunch of lures all around it. And like those rubber waders overalls that go all the way up with like a fishnet shirt underneath and a gold tooth. So,
Whoa!
Just one, but
The
no
gold-
other teeth. Just
one gold
tooth.
Well, that's what the fishing's for. We're trying to afford the dental work. I mean, So after your look is your character's past, there are a number of these like pre-generated pasts listed. If you feel compelled, like, oh, I had an idea for this character and it isn't listed here, I want to modify one of these, I'm fine with that. But these pasts that are listed for the characters are a great starting point.
Definitely.
Yeah. So maybe a past for the captain was that I was the neighborhood runt, or I served as a captain for one of Imperia's power-hungry factions. And you do not need to know the details of your backstory at this point. Just,
Definitely.
just this little nugget for us to build off of. After that is your character's dream. This is something aspirational. It can guide our gameplay, or it might not come up at all. But this is something that they are personally working towards. The family might have goals of their own, but this is your character's own personal goal. So the duelist will maybe seek to regain their honor or get their revenge.
Can you give me a little bit of a peek into the lore side of stuff? Because this dream says I will
Please.
find a more powerful, sustainable fuel than Kieran hearts.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This game has some heavy-fisted commentary on poaching, which is to say, there are flying cities in the game known as cradles, and there is art of the cradles scattered throughout the book. They're even on the cover, kind of in the background. But there are flying cities known as cradles, and they are sustained by the still beating hearts of Kieran. Kieran are the most powerful flying creatures across Imperia, and they are poached for this particular reason. So perhaps if you could find an alternative other than Kieran hearts, then maybe these floating cities would not need to go into extinction.
Very
If you-
interesting.
If you want an image that I'm rather proud of, you can jump all the way to page 180. There's this rather large spread of a Kieran heart being transported onto a magnate warship. as it were.
Whoop.
Smaller vessels can be powered by fish, but larger things like freighters and warships and these floating cities require this poaching to function.
Okay.
So choosing power, do we just choose one listed?
I always recommend starting with one of these 9 powers that are listed for
yeah.
your role. They'll line up pretty well. And so this is part of my collaborative storytelling, and something I did for this game is the ruling behind the powers is intentionally vague. It is quite inspecific. So, one of the captain's powers could be Sub-Zero or Sea Foam. What does Sea Foam mean? You tell me. There is a power section in the book. It has recommendations, and it's saying here's how the power might appear. Here's what it might be used for. But I really want players to use their imagination and kind of build their own powers to their liking as it best fits with their character. Your specific role, each role has a key stat or a key attribute, and its value is always 5. So if you're 5 being the highest value. So if you're the fisher, your poise stat is going to be 5. Beyond that, you will assign the values 2, 3, and 4 to the remaining stats. So at the end, between your might, poise, style, and focus, you should have the values 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that correlates to the number of dice that you will be rolling when you use that skill. The skills, you get to start by marking 1 point in 3 different skills. You can't have more than 1 to begin with, so you can't stack them. But 1 point in 3 different skills. And the skills that you can put it into is also listed in your role. If you look on the first page of your role, it'll say key skills. And for the fisher, let's say, your key skills are endure, modify, sneak, aim, haggle, and navigate. And so those are your options. Yes, it's a bit more straightforward in the playbook where your skills are specifically limited. Some are actually blanked out, so you can't even put points into them. But with the fillable, you need to look at the ones here and mark the according ones over
And
there.
so we get one of those?
You get 3 points to put into one skill each. So you can mark a single dot in 3 different skills.
Got it.
Oh no. A name. Ooh. Oh.
Okay.
You
Will-
gotta understand
Will, can I-
something about Will. This is the most important choice.
Will-
Okay, Will, can I
Error.
pitch something to you?
Yeah.
And this is me knowing nothing about your character, but I swear it'll be relevant. If you do not have a name in mind, or if you are very much struggling, what I recommend and what the book recommends is you can always just use your character's gender, or a portion of it, as your name.
Oh,
So
squid.
your name could be Squid. Your name could be Smokestack. And that is a pretty simple and quick embodiment of who they might be. Of course, any other name will also do.
All right.
Mo Verna.
Ooh.
My ginger's
Mo?
mustache.
Yes.
Love it. You said Mo Vern.
Mo Vern.
Are you related to Les Verna? Because it's Mo or Les,
like 3 times removed, a few marriages maybe, I don't know.
And Mo Verna, you are a wayfinder?
I'm a wayfinder.
Great. And when DJ or Andrew, when either of you have your character's name, let me know and I will record it.
I think I'm just going to go with Squid. I think Squid is a good name. It's a good gender. It's a good name.
It's cute. It's a great
perfect.
name.
I like it.
I'm going with Rivet,
Ooh.
Nice.
which is not
Almost
my
sounds
gender,
like
but it is a gender listed in the mechanic.
Love it. All that remains is to pick a mutation. That's like the thing we didn't talk about. We kind of passed it. But how it goes is that each symbiote begins with 2 mutations. One is of your choosing. Follow your biological fantasy dreams. I don't know, if you want cat ears, have cat ears. If your name is Squid and you want squid tentacles, those are yours. So one is of your choosing. The second mutation you begin with is one of your Kieran's core mutations. And it is represented on your body in the same way. So each of you will either have these glowing mushrooms somewhere. Maybe they're growing on your shoulders or on the back of your head. Or you will have these faint bioluminescent constellations appearing somewhere on your body.
Do the mutations have any utility within gameplay? And
They
should that be a
do.
motivation for deciding what ours is?
Oh, there's a list.
No, yes, they do have utility, and no, it should not be motivation.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Love it.
Unless you are playing to win, which is also okay.
Wrong,
so the full
but okay.
and wrong but acceptable.
Yeah.
So the full mutation list is on page 84, and there are pictures to accompany some of them. And yes, the mutations do have a mechanical benefit. It's the same as the trinkets, which is that whenever a mutation might apply, you get an extra die to it. And so there are some instances when both of your mutations might be useful to the circumstance, and you actually get 2 extra dice. And if you're trinket, then there's 3. So they can stack as well.
I'm definitely going like with the extra limbs. I'd like to have like a forearms situation. That seems super fun.
And of course, I'll
Also-
stay on theme for my gender and go tentacles.
Love it. I would hope for nothing else. Yeah, the forearms as a mechanic also sounds quite useful.
I don't have to ask a kid to hold my flashlight and then yell at them for not pointing it the right direction.
Right.
Great.
You'll never do the thing where you're working on a car and you go, "Could you hand me that?" Which always
Right.
happens at the start of a Fast and Furious movie. Yeah.
What are you doing, Will?
I have a pig snout.
Yes.
Whoa! I love that. And what are y'all thinking for your core mutations
Oh yeah.
that you have?
I like mushrooms. I'm into that. And I went with the power of resting. So I feel like I'm more aligned with like earth and decay and what.
Cool.
I like the idea that my tentacles are very starry,
Mm-hmm.
like all down, you know? Like I'm thinking the weird night elf person from Dragon Prince, but with tentacle arms.
Love it.
So I would.
I've not
do-
seen Dragon Prince, but this
Oh,
is yet,
I
a-
think you
yet
would love it.
another. People keep saying that, and they're probably right. I think
It's
they're right.
for the mushrooms. That would be bioluminescence. Or wait.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I think it would be bioluminescence,
Okay.
just flavored as the mushrooms, probably.
Yeah.
There is also another mutation called floral body, which typically does not fall under the star soul,
Mhm.
but I'm okay with it. Botanical accents can be seen across your body. Flowers, vines, moss, or weeds wrap about your wrists, ankles, and hair. Yeah.
I think that might fit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. That makes sense. Who's to say that you can't count a mushroom as a flower, right?
They do. I mean, they're capable of
They do
flowering.
flower, yeah.
They flower. It's close enough for me. Will, how about you?
I guess to give a little bit of a background like type thing, Mo has marbled green and yellow skin, but I think I'm going to have that kind of work as like it stays stationary until it gets to their arms, and then at that point the arms kind of have the same likeness to if you've seen the interstellar body called the Pillars of Creation.
I have.
And then is it possible that like if Mo focuses that like stars can be born in Mo's fingertips to help light things up?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I totally
that.
welcome that. Yeah, these pillars of creation are awesome, and that is so cool. Also, thank you for choosing the pig snout, Will. There are some mutations that are objectively cool, right? Like, I'm gonna make a character with cat ears or whatever. Why wouldn't I? But I also kind of love the like weird and freaky ones. Like, give your character a beak, right? Like, just make them kind of a freak, you know? I love a freaky little symbiote. So
I want to smell what my Kieran smells. constantly. So
the
that's
sy- the symbiotic smelling. The symbiotic smelling.
I love it.
All right. Yeah, let's introduce our characters. I'll go first for a recap. I am Heaven and Earth, which sounds like I think a lot of myself when I say it out loud.
No big deal.
I am no big deal. I am the twin Kieran, Heaven and Earth. Two goat-like Kieran, one cautious, one protective. And yeah, I think you can see I think Earth is often visible next to or near the family, and Heaven, on the other hand, is typically distant, flying nearby, and maybe only spotted by like the illumination that's coming off of Heaven's body. Like you're looking for a point of light around you, and you're like, oh, there she is, there she went. Perhaps hiding in a corner. That is Heaven and Earth, and yeah, I think they both have these long, kind of winding fur-colored tails, and their horns are these long, twisting, gnarled things that look like they have been around for decades, for ages. And that is Heaven and Earth.
Rivet is you see like the way they clothe themselves is just like this almost clerical vestment of like of a leather like work trouser kind of thing going on. It's like lots of drapery of worn greasy leather and like bits of fabric patching different points. And like you don't normally see the additional limbs per se because they're kind of like kept like this at all times. But when they're needed, they're engaged in further use. Otherwise, the kind of the mushrooms have taken over a good portion of the visible like skin in general. It is pretty rampant, almost to where it's like a little bit insectoidy, I'd say.
Cool.
And so in general, I'm very pink, and then just like leather with like bits of like blue scrap, like canvas and whatnot throughout the clothing. And I've got like a very long staff like wrench with rusty bits around where I hold it. And
Cool.
yeah, that's Rivet.
And what are Rivet's pronouns, by the
They
way?
them.
They, them. Perfect.
So, I changed my name, just so you know. I know I got to be difficult, but
Acceptable.
I am playing Calamari, or Mari for short. The
Love it.
fisher whose gender is squid. He, they. He has a squid beak instead of like the traditional nose and mouth. And also for his power, it is so the tendrils, two of them are wrapped around the waist, kind of like just as almost a belt. The others are, of course, the arms that Mari uses. That's Mari.
Awesome. Okay. And Mari's tentacles also kind of have these constellation style patterns.
Oh yeah, yep.
on
The
them.
coloring is very
Perfect.
like from the arms, just very purple with like white speckles.
Very cool. And what was Mari's trinket?
Oh, Mari's trinket is a harpoon gun. Because that looked fun.
Absolutely. And then real quick, just for my own knowledge, because it may come up later, what Rivet and Mari, what are very briefly your pasts and then your dreams? Where are you coming from and where are you going in 10 words or less?
Mari fell overboard to the below.
Okay.
But Mari also dreams to protect and provide for their family.
Love it. And Rivet, how about you?
I've read all the books in town, and I need more. And I dream of unlocking the secrets of the old world tech.
All right. Mo Verna? Mo? Would you like to take us away?
Moverna has one eye. One eye is missing, and there's a scar that is formed over Super Edgelord. But Mo is a
Awesome.
very chipper person. Pronouns are he, they. Mo's skin is almost looks like a nebula of smoky greens and yellows with like flecks of maybe stars that are being birthed. Mo is wearing
Cool.
a chrome puffy North Face style jacket with a whole bunch of duct tape on it. Like the thing is torn to shreds, but it's his favorite, and that's what he wears. Same thing for the pants. Neon green parachute pants. Kind of in the same vein, just barely holding on.
So like crust
Love
pants,
that.
like punk crust pants.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But like happy crust.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah, neon
yeah.
crust.
Jovial crust.
Whoa.
I
I love that band. Love that band.
That's really fun. And Mo has a large snout that is red, and under said snout is a very long and unkempt purple mustache.
Whoa. Awesome.
Mo used to explore the things below with he remembers them to be his friends, but doesn't really quite remember their faces. Has a little bit of amnesia there. But he does know that he has a longing to find a lost city of legend that was spoken to him ever since he was a child, though he does not remember who spoke those words.
Awesome. Very cool.
As for Mo's trinket, it is a bowl and a piece of iron, and he uses his mutation or power of magnetism to help him navigate the skies.
Cool.
So the golden compass, but flavored.
Love it. Okay. And so magnetism was Mo's power.
Yes.
Gotcha. Cool. And we're talking just like a metal bowl and some like nondescript metal piece of iron. And
Yep. And he'll grab water and then he'll magnetize that piece of metal, and that's what he'll use for his compass.
I love that so much. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Mo. So that is our family. We have Mo Verna, Calamari or Mari, and Rivet. Now, last but not least, we are going to create our saddle. And before we do that, actually, I think we should, because this will just help get us set up, I think we should decide what biome we're like starting out in or traveling into. Page 144, there's kind of a brief like visual overview of the 9 different biome types in this game, also known as the 9 skies to the people of Imperia. There's actually more than 9 skies, but they're referring to these distinct biomes that have emerged since
The
the
seven
surface
seas,
room.
if you will.
The 7 seas. Yeah, great. It turns out this whole thing is actually we're doing pirates, but in the sky.
Nice.
Yes. Also, Treasure Planet. If you're looking for inspiration, this game feels Treasure Planet adjacent.
Yes,
To
please.
me. So yeah, the 9 biomes, the 9 skies that we have that our family will be traveling into, or could be, are deserts, grasslands, tropical biomes or reefs, alpine biomes or snow-capped mountains, forests, jungles, tundras, fungal biomes or like very large mushrooms, super fungi, and volcanic biomes or geothermal biomes. What are y'all's thoughts? Do any of those sound interesting to you?
It's super fungus. It sounds interesting.
That's all I could think about was just giant funguses. Because everybody wants to be around a bunch of super fun guy.
I mean, I would want to be around, but yeah, there we go. I fear that might not be our first fungi joke.
Probably not. Or our last.
So, our final step before we are into the game, and this is kind of the idle dreaming that I was talking about, is creating our saddle. A saddle is the symbiote's home, a mobile home that is affixed to the top of their Kirin. It is their home base. It is the place where they stay. And it's kind of their whole life packed into one tiny little makeshift abode. So we're going to pick some options for our saddle to see what it's like. Since we have two Kirin and they're twins, y'all have some options. And this gets a little interesting. You could either just put your saddle on one of the two Kirin and call it a day. Maybe Heaven doesn't want to wear the saddle because she's far too cautious, and it would be a lot of weight and very scary for her. Or, alternatively, you could elect to have two smaller saddles split between the twins that maybe y'all alternate. Maybe one is for cooking and the other is for sleeping, however it goes. So think about that as we're choosing these options for the saddle, and maybe an answer will reveal itself. On page 44, what we're going to do is we're going to choose upgrades and flaws for the saddle. There is a list of all of the potential upgrade options, and then there is a list of all of the flaw options. We're going to have 5 in total, 3 upgrades and 2 flaws for our saddle. If you want a little more info on each of these upgrades, their specific benefits and bonuses are listed on page 46. But as with most things in this game, I usually pick them based off of flavor before function.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can go in order, and whoever would like to start us off could pick either an upgrade or a flaw, and we'll kind of take it from there.
I definitely like the idea of the gnarled tree, kind of even the tree being, as it goes down, the majority of that harness area kind of connecting to Earth. I think
Cool.
that makes a lot of sense.
Love it. Okay, so yeah, Earth's saddle, and we're establishing that Earth does have a saddle, is a gnarled tree. And yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's grown into almost the bottom of the saddle in a way. It's really an irreplaceable part of it. It's kind of foundational to the saddle. Cool. DJ, what is your upgrade or flaw selection?
So fishing nets are going to be so upgrade is going to be the fishing nets. Just kind of draped over the side for ease of grabbing them, so that if we need to, you just kind of grab a board, the top of them, toss them out.
Love it.
You could even hang him in the tree if you need to air it out.
Whoa! Yeah, that could be kind of cool.
I think, and not to make a call for everyone, I like the idea that Heaven wants no saddle whatsoever. That feels
Free spirit.
Yeah, and then just we're on Earth all the time, but Heaven just kind of orbits or something to that effect.
Yes, I also agree, as someone who isn't a symbiote but who is Heaven and Earth.
That's true.
I agree with that. I think it's kind of fun that Heaven is almost like this, just it's like one of those elusive cats in your home, where you see them under the bed and you're like, oh, there she is, and then skitters off or whatever. Yeah, I like the idea that she wants nothing to do with it. Great. So, Will, we have 1 upgrade left to pick and 2 flaws left to pick, so you can choose either still. What would your selection be?
Oh, man. I think... raise your hand if you have a harpoon. Okay, good to know. I think going for the diving bell. I don't think Heaven would allow us, or Earth would allow us, to go down there without something. They're very protective and very cautious. So
cool. I love the diving bell. For listeners who don't know what a diving bell is, it is a metal bell, an upside down dome, or it's a dome that was traditionally used for exploring under the ocean, exploring the ocean floor. And this dome captures an air bubble in it when it's lowered underwater. So this is how people like scuba dived before we had any scuba gear, is they would sit in the bell in their little air bubble and they would swim out and go do their thing and then swim back into it and catch some breath. So this diving bell could perform a similar function for the toxic, noxious surface below.
I feel like whatever mechanism the diving, like that raises and lowers the diving bells, like strung through the tree with like some machinery and stuff.
Oh, just like a whole bunch of pulleys.
Yeah, totally. Like just all through the
yeah,
tree.
Yeah.
I love that. And you have to know this tree is so strong too.
Right.
Like the wood is just like, yeah, tight. And yeah, I love that.
To that effect, if we're going to flaws.
Yes. Now, and this is the fun part, is people often gravitate towards the upgrades. And it's like, now tell me what's wrong with your saddle. So yes, I need 2 flaws now.
Yeah. Let's see the list.
I think it's very mossy. And as such, it's slippery and moist all the time, as moss tends to be.
I was thinking like with that, like I'm totally down with that too. I like moldy in that like our trees may be actually infected. And it's like, it's sad. Like like this tree that is so integral to how we've like lived on Earth is dying or something, or is like infected with like some invasive species or something along those lines.
Yeah. So moldy will be your pick then?
I think so. Yeah.
Sure.
And then like that, I mean, that could play into why it's also slippery. Like maybe it is decay almost.
Right. Yeah, I'm so worried about this bell falling.
I know, right?
The moldy tree. I'm like, oh, how long will it last? Oh no. Cool. Okay, so it is moldy, and we'll see how that contributes to things. Also, as a note, I do like to bring the flaws back around sometimes. If I'm feeling a little mischievous, I might like raise the difficulty of a roll
For
or
sure.
provide some kind of penalty if I think the flaw applies. So. Great. DJ, what is your flaw choice? And Will, I apologize that it was only 3 and 2 and that you...
No, I want Will to pick the flaw.
Okay.
Love it. Will, what is your flaw choice?
He gets creative with these things.
So I really like moldy. I think either dark history or rusted would make a lot of sense. Probably dark history would make the most sense. I like the idea that we know that these Kirin are ancient. Like we are on the backs of Earth with heaven above us.
Right.
And we are not the first people, and we know we're not the first people.
Oh.
Like we inherited
maybe,
Earth from a previous
Yeah.
generation of symbiotes.
So you're...
and now it's
Oh,
moldy and
no.
infected. And maybe that's kind of a piece of our journey, is like trying to figure out how to cleanse that, maybe.
Right. Wow. Okay. So you're saying that
I think dark
Yeah.
history, I think.
love dark history. Okay. And you're saying that part of that dark history is that you are not the first family to live with these Kirin and to live aboard this saddle.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. And yeah, maybe I kind of like the idea that the mold, what do they say? Like black mold grows in... I saw something about J.K.
Rowling's
Rowling.
house.
Yeah, right. I feel like it's that. I feel like the mold is related to something historically. Maybe the last family wasn't transphobic per se, but there's some kind of there's a correlation there.
Oh, man.
I like it.
Somebody listening just crossed their arms. They're just, and you know what? I don't care.
Bye.
Oh goodness.
Great. Okay, cool. So I think if we're in person, I'd like to draw a map, but I think for our sake, maybe we all have a rough idea of how this saddle might be looking. We talked about the gnarled tree being foundational to it, like making up a large part of it, the diving bell hanging off of that, maybe even some of the fishing nets hanging off of the tree. I feel like when you look at it, it's almost like maybe there's not even much foliage on the tree, but there's a lot of like
No.
stuff
Yeah.
draping off of
Yep.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of
Mhm.
laundry
You got
hanging.
laundry.
Yes.
laundry.
Yes. Yeah, awesome. There are some other questions. Where do we eat? Where do we store our things? And where do we sleep? These work better if we're drawing a map, but
Yeah.
I'll ask all three of them right now in case any of y'all have any strong thoughts on any of those. If not, we can just move on.
I think there's an
Hammocks in
inside
the
to the
tree.
tree. I think
I was thinking the same
like
thing.
think like the tree in
Whoa.
Neverland, like the Lost Boys tree. So like inside
Mhm.
of it, like it's not like a full on like house, but like it's like half open, to the
Mhm.
elements, but like it's almost like more like a tent, or like you walk into it and then maybe there's like gnarled beds.
Right.
inside
There's like
of
it's
it.
like a little hovel in there. Like
Right,
if you were a
yeah.
little wreck. I love that. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
And the
Um,
beds are like it's not mattresses or anything. It's just incredibly soft moss,
Ooh.
right?
I'm down for
Just like
that.
fey as hell, you know.
Oh, do
Uh-huh.
you know the number of
Yeah.
tardigrades that would be in that? A
Oh.
whole lot. That's
Oh.
where water bears live. Just so you know, little
Who
fun
needs-
fact.
Who needs bed? Who needs beds? Who can afford beds? Moss is fine.
Yeah.
I like
would
the
s-
idea
yeah.
too that it's like, well, okay, so it's the moss, but it's also the tree's kind of like, it's got that moldy thing going on. So you're like, oh, we love our moss beds, but also it's maybe a little stinky.
Well, I
Like,
think I'm not
like-
in my original bed anymore. Like there's a couple beds in here, and I'm not in the one that was lower because it's
yes,
not good
no!
anymore.
The one guest bed that we've all moved on from.
Yeah.
Or maybe because like this is our sleeping and kind of like living area kind of because this is where the family unit is present the most. That's probably the space that has the less mold or the least amount of mold for some reason. And like we don't really know why, but maybe that's like kind of the case. Like so if we need to like catch a breath of fresh air that's not moldy, we would go inside maybe. Like our safe space.
I was just I was thinking I think we eat outside because it's so moist. We can have a nice fire going and it's not going to spread anywhere. And so it's just a real, camping
Cozy vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like with the inside of the tree, like the little hovel, and then the outdoor camping vibe atop the saddle. You almost kind of have a little like outdoorsy little microbiome happening on top of the saddle. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so then here are some questions for you all. And you will see these on page, doesn't have a page number, page 45 technically, but the illustration blocked it off. Great. So technically page 45, it has a picture of a saddle on it, and it says ask one to the left. So you will pick one of these 10 questions and ask it to the player on your left. You will ask it to their character and repeat this for each person present. So, for example, I could ask Mo Verna, where is your favorite spot to be on the saddle and why? So, yeah, maybe Mo Verna, if you want to start off with that. And I don't know what digital left is, but whatever,
Pick someone.
whatever feels right to you for digital left.
My favorite spot for me to stay is somewhere close to the neck and the head. I'd like to know what is in front of me. Though I will not climb the horns. I've learned my lesson from that. Rivet, what is your favorite spot?
Well, I like to spend time over in the shade of the tree, kind of around the side of the hovel, and it's where I do my best work. And
just kind of like little tinkering and whatnot, and kind of talks with hands pretty much at all times, but yeah, just like kind of over in the shade of the tree around the corner of it, kind of like wherever it like sags a little bit, like whatever kind of opposite side shelter that could be around back of the tree.
Love it. Yeah, why don't you ask a question to Mari?
what did you break last week, Mari?
Ooh.
What did you break?
So funny story.
What did you break?
We
Oh, no.
Because I gotta fix it.
we used to have some hammocks for hanging out under the stars and nice
Oh,
nice
cute.
nights. Unfortunately, I broke one of the branches off by falling from a higher branch and landing in the hammock. Unfortunately, that hammock just couldn't take it anymore. And
No.
well,
We have a
it's
fresh
broke.
wound on our tree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Rivet, I think you feel compelled to fix this, but you've been caught up with other things, so
Yeah.
you haven't had the time yet.
Totally.
Maybe when we play, we can address that. But you know that broken branch and that torn hammock is there, and maybe it's even bothering you a little.
Oh yeah.
Great. Did you hurt yourself in the fall? Mari?
Nothing too bad. Just kind of like a nice side bruise, you know.
Oh no. Okay. Bruised your hip. Mari, would you ask Moverna a question?
Well, we already know where you won't go because you told us that you're not going to go to the top of the horns anymore. So, Moverna, why aren't you allowed in the kitchen anymore?
It wasn't even my fault, okay? I turned the Bunsen burner completely off. I checked it. I smelled it. You think this thing can't smell what butane is? Okay, it was off. That fire was not my fault at all. It was something spontaneous. Maybe this place is haunted or something. I don't know. But you won't let me in there. And every time I go in there, heaven comes down and is like, yo, what are you doing, Mo? And I say, okay, fine. I'll let somebody else cook. You can have horrible food if you would like.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I have to imagine first off that Mo is maybe the best chef among y'all, only because of their nose, the aromas, right?
I
Like
have
a
a
truffle
perfect
pig.
palate. A fantastic palate. You don't know what you're missing. I make amazing guamkis.
like a truffle pig, just like sniffing it out. What is the state of the kitchen now, everyone? What is it? Was the Bunsen burner incident bad, or just
There's a reason why we cook at the fire.
Yeah, we
pit
don't really know what
outside now.
happened in the kitchen last week.
Oh,
You know, like we're not really sure
no.
what the fire was.
It's not that bad. It would be fine. We just need to find a whole new countertop.
But I need to
Incredible.
completely restructure the kitchen. It needs a full rework, and I honestly I don't have time or resources right now to do it.
Yeah, but imagine the self-growth that you would experience from that kind of project. It would be great. The endorphins that would hit after it was done.
Well, you can grow yourself a new kitchen then.
I'm going to go roast some hot dogs over this fire.
I trust Mo to roast a hot dog as well. I really do.
Absolutely.
I think, yeah. I think you start roasting these hot dogs, and Heaven smells this and kind of like floats down just a little closer. I think she was like high and away, and as the food begins cooking, she kind of like creeps in a little bit. There's actually a shadow that's cast over the saddle. You're sitting there and some light is hitting you, and then things go dark and you're like, hold up, and look above you, and you see Heaven just flying maybe 30 feet up.
This is such a fucking vibe. I'm
Actually, like,
this is so cool.
I don't have to look. I just know. Like I know where Heaven is.
Mhm.
That sounds like an album cover.
Oh.
So like as Heaven like swoops down, it's just a normal thing in our relationship. I'm gonna throw up a hot dog, and it's just like perfect, like right there.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so actually, I think both of these things, cooking the hot dogs and feeding Heaven, are a perfect segue into our travel tasks. So if everyone could go to page 140, there are a number of tasks. These are like little daily tasks that your symbiotes can do as we're moving to a new location. And everything considered, I think maybe here's what's happening is that the three of you are traveling to a nearby city in this fungal biome. You're not quite sure. There are many kinds of settlements across Imperia. There are islands, which are these like mountains, these high ground pieces of terrain sticking out of the cloud sea, of the toxic ocean below, the cloud ocean. There are towers, which are these old world super scrapers that pierce up from out of the clouds. And there are cradles, which are floating cities. Last but not least, there are settlements built atop megaflora as well. So there are cities built in these massive forests or built atop large mushrooms. So you've heard, who's the most traveled? Moverna, you're a wayfinder.
Mm-hmm.
You have heard, you have not been to, but you have heard of a settlement nearby, and y'all are making a pit stop there so you can fix your kitchen and so you can fix your hammock. Rivet, you are running low on parts.
This is not
So-
working.
This is the spot you can't do your work like this. So this is the spot that you're going to. And what's you are the wayfinder, Moverna. Do you have a good idea for a name for this place? I can suggest some if you like, but I'm totally open to a name for a fungal settlement of any kind.
Mari, Rivet, you guys should probably get a little bit ready. We're getting pretty close to Northcrest Hember.
Crest Hember.
Northcrest Hember. Not to be confused with Southcrest Hember. There's a feud.
I love it. Okay. Northcrest Hember. Not to be confused with the South. I feel like maybe the Southcrest Hember is like maybe in a different biome, or maybe it's right nearby and there's a feud. It's hard to say. That's interesting. Thank you for that, Wayfinder. Mo. So, y'all are traveling. Going back to the travel tasks on page 140, there are a number of options, and actually two of the things that you did, Mo, which was cooking food and feeding a hot dog to Heaven, actually line up really well with two of the travel tasks. I'll go down the list now, but these are the things you might be doing as we're moving towards Northcrest Hember. You could cook lunch. You could bond with the Kirin. The first two are literally things you have done. If you would like, you could choose one of those to receive a mechanical benefit from either of those. Otherwise, it'll just be flavor. You could practice one of your skills. You could work the radio to hear news from nearby. You could scavenge, so dig around your saddle for parts. You could go fishing. You could construct something new, like a new upgrade. You could repair or attempt to repair an existing upgrade or a part of the saddle. Or you could chart course for this new location, which would help you avoid dangerous weather or dangerous encounters. So those are the travel tasks. This is a good time to maybe explain as well few mechanics of the game. You'll see some of them, like cooking lunch and bonding with the Kirin, both grant a unity point. And what are the unity points? Unity points are a currency that represents the strength of your family's bond. They are gained when you take actions that bring each other together, and you can spend them to do a number of things, including using your powers, healing conditions on other symbiotes, and calling for your Kirin's aid to re-roll, to retake a roll. If you're looking for that list, it is in the play kit, which also, and the play kit kind of has like a quick overview of the rules, which I'm happy to go through now. Now might be a good time. That way we kind of have a brief idea of how this whole thing is going to go down. The two pages I'm looking at are page 2 and 3 of the play kit. One is the quick rules. That's page number 2. It says how to play. And the other one is the third page, which says the family. So how to play, we'll get into this when we roll die. But essentially, this is a role-playing game standard, but you can do whatever you would like. Simply say so. Whenever there's a challenge, or you're attempting to do something difficult, we're going to roll for it. So you'll pick one of your 4 skills, whichever seems the most appropriate. Or sorry, one of your 12 skills, whichever seems the most appropriate. So if I'm trying to push rubble aside, I'm going to use my force skill. And to roll, I will take the number of my stat and the number of marks that I have in that appropriate skill. So let's say my might is 4 and I have 1 point in the force skill. That would be 4 plus 1, so I would roll 5 dice to do that thing. To succeed, you need to roll a 6. 6s are successes. If you roll a 6, you succeed. If you don't roll any 6s, you fail, and you must mark a condition. There are some particularly difficult things, like let's say you're trying to, I don't know, fight off poachers by singing them a song. I'm not going to prevent you from doing that as the jester, but it would be impressive and particularly difficult. So I might require 2 or 3 6s instead, 2 or 3 successes. So that's how I can adjust the difficulty. But typically, for most things, just a single 6 will count. Certain things can provide bonuses, like your mutations and your trinket. And certain things can add a penalty to your roll, like your conditions. So if your character is heated or dazed, I believe, or confused. I don't have the conditions list pulled up now. So those will subtract dice when you have a condition. That is the rolling in a nutshell. If you get extra successes, you can spend them on flourishes, which give you like bonus effects. It's kind of a little add-on. If you fail a roll, you can ask for your Kieran's help, or you can just accept the failure. And that's how the rolling mechanics work for the game. Do you have any questions about that?
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's very we actually none of us really had played any Shadowrun before, and so we just all demoed it at Gen Con the other day. So in that, it's like 5s and 6s counted as successes, but like 1s would negate it. So this feels familiar to that in some ways.
I think Shadowrun is in this game's DNA for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So then 2 more really important things for y'all to know about. This is on the family page. The unity points, which I was referencing previously, are powerful, and you are trying to get them whenever you can. How do you gain unity points? If Kieran bonds with their symbiotes, you gain a unity point. What does that look like? You'll notice that each roll, if you go back to your roll page, has a number of options listed for how you actually bond with your Kieran. So I believe like the mechanic, for example, can bond with their Kieran. It's listed under bonds. It's at the very end of the roll. And it'll say gain a unity point when you bond with your Kieran by building toys for them. Or digging through scrap piles together. Or for the fisher, and for the fisher, it'll say gain a unity point when you feed them fishy scraps, or when you sit and stare at the clouds together for hours on end. So if you want to power game these, you certainly can. You're welcome to like bond with the Kieran to your heart's content, but I'll probably start implementing difficulties or penalties at a certain point. And actually I can make the Kieran act out and act a little wild or feral as well, which I might do if this happened too much. And sometimes the game will prompt these things. So you bonding with the Kieran gives the family a unity point, and we all share unity points. The other thing, and this is a way to bring you all together, is you gain unity points when each of you supports each other. So this is good to know, is that each of you has a list of different ways that you can support the family members. And it's actually almost more important to know each other's ways of providing support than it is your own. So for the fisher, for example, go to Calamari, go to Mari if you need help laying a trap of any kind. If you need fish for the Kieran, or if you are looking for knowledge of marine life. There are also instances where maybe you are seeking Mari's support for something else, and that could generate a unity point as well. For the mechanic, for you, Rivet, we would come to you, I believe, if we need something, if we need a broken thing fixed, or for you to make something new, or if we're looking for knowledge of machines, science, or technology.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the idea behind this support mechanic? It's incentivizing you to, rather than solving problems on your own, to go to each other for help with solving the problems whenever you can. So that's how you gain unity points. Spending unity points can be done to activate one of your powers, one of your biological powers. And what does that do? That lets you succeed on either a 5 or a 6, much like Shadowrun that you were talking about. So it doubles your range of successes. So using a power is really strong in this game. So you can spend a unity point to activate a power. You can spend a unity point after you fail the roll to ask for the Kieran's help and re-roll it. And finally, you can spend a unity point to remove a family member's condition by consoling them. So if any of you get injured or emotionally wounded, you can come to each other and provide aid. And that's kind of a moment of bonding for the family. One thing about the rerolls is that your Kieran's traits actually inform when your Kieran can help you or not. So since your Kieran are strong, they could help you with things that require strength. But they're not elusive, so you might not be able to use their aid if you're trying to sneak past guards, for example. My final note on the mechanics, and this is somewhat similar to Blades in the Dark, is the equipment points. You, as a family, begin with 3 equipment points because there are 3 players. And the equipment points represent all of the junk that you have on your saddle and in your pockets. And so at any point, you can spend one of the family's equipment points to pull out a piece of junk, whatever it may be, and get a +1 to roll that you are making in that moment. So whatever it may be, maybe you're like, oh, I'd love a crowbar to get through this door. And of course, Rivet has a crowbar stuffed down their pant leg, you know? Why wouldn't Rivet have that? And so that would be a moment to spend an equipment point. So we're not doing specific inventory tracking, but instead we have this nebulous inventory that measures all of the stuff on the saddle.
When does that usually like refresh the equipment points? Would you like do that per session with players or?
Totally, yes. So the session ends with a dinner. We all get together and we have dinner as a family and we reflect on the day. The game is supposed to follow kind of an episodic, like Avatar: The Last Airbender structure. And that's when the equipment points refresh.
Awesome.
The final thing is there are wild points. Those are not for you. Those are for me. But if I so choose, heaven or earth can act out on their protective nature or their cautious nature. And when that happens, I gain wild points. But it causes problems for the lot of you. And then the wild points I can spend later on to actually help you out. So the point here is that it makes things spicy early on and helps wrap things up towards the end. So that's how the wild points work. There's one more mechanic, if you're familiar with Blades in the Dark. This is borrowed from their progress clocks. Between Clouds has something called progress plants. And this is described under the How to Play section on page... I'm looking for it. Aha, 106. Okay. Progress plants. So, progress plant marks a big obstacle. We're either fighting off against some ancient old world robot, or we're dueling with a pirate captain, or we're trying to navigate a thunderous lightning storm. When you succeed against a progress plant, you get to mark in a leaf, or multiple leaves if you succeed with multiple dice. The opposite of a progress plant is a pressure plant, which is something that marks failures. And so maybe the guards are looking for you, and after 3 failures, they will discover you through this pressure plant. So whenever I act out, as the Kirin, I get to mark the pressure plant. And so maybe the people of this town like you, but because they're wary of symbiotes and Kirin, once your Kirin starts causing problems, they become a little more wary each time. Do y'all have any questions? Otherwise, we can go back to the travel prompts and carry on.
More just a world question.
Please.
So we are considered symbiotes. What are the
You are.
other people considered? And do they have mutations? Are they less mutated than symbiotes? And like, how is it clear that we are symbiotes as opposed to the other people of the world?
Totally. The other people of the world are normal humans.
Oh, okay.
Everyone else is just a person who has survived this collapse of society and who has successfully migrated to a life above the clouds in whatever strange insular community they've wound up in, whether it be a cradle, a tower, an island, or whatever else.
Okay.
Yep. And so they can tell you're symbiotes, not only because you travel with a Kirin, but because of your mutations. If you're not making an effort to hide them, it can be quite obvious. And some folks are forgiving towards symbiotes. Others, like poachers, for example, are very much less so and might even be outwardly hostile towards the symbiotes.
Now, so I was born human, and
You were.
at some point I was then like approached by our Kirin, and then that began to change me slowly or all at once or something like that.
Slowly, indeed. Yes,
Okay.
you were approached by the Kirin, you made contact with it. And what Kirin do, they're kind of these genetic pollinators. So they go to one biome, they gather biological data, and then they bring it to another biome and they stabilize it using that. So they maybe like make this plant a little more resilient,
Right.
or make this creature semi-amphibious. They are keeping these fragile ecosystems alive. And so symbiotes are that same thing where the Kirin said, you could be useful to me. So I'm going to give you these powers and you're going to come with me.
God.
So you began as a human, but something was off about your life. And this is the reason for your past. Something was, you either an outcast or you had a natural wanderlust. And so you joined forces with a Kirin, or perhaps joined forces with a family if it already had other symbiotes.
Awesome. I think I'm good to go.
I'm good.
Great. So let's start with the travel tasks on page 140. Mo Verna, what travel task would you like to pick?
Well, because it just makes sense with what we're doing, I have cooked lunch.
Love it. Okay, so that will give the family a unity point. So you cooked lunch. What did you make? You made hot dogs?
Yeah, but it's more of, sorry. Yes, I did make some hot dogs, but instead, what I like to do is I take a little bit of sauerkraut and butter on top of that, and then I put mashed potatoes on top with hot dogs with slits in them, and then cheese over the top of it. It's very good.
It's like a chaotic parfait.
I kind
That's
of
actually the name of
love
it. Yeah, chaotic
Okay.
parfait. I like that a lot.
Rivet, Mari, what are y'all's thoughts on this dish? Do you indulge? Is it good? Do you like it?
As long as it's not over seasoned, I'm happy. I'm a bit of a super taster. Strong flavors upset me.
Don't worry, Rivet. I've left out any. There's a little bit of salt in there because I think you need to get your electrolytes, okay? And you don't really like to drink too much water, so there is a little bit in there. But I left out all the other spices for you, so it's fine.
Thank you. Yes.
Aw.
Under seasoned portion. I appreciate it.
I recommend black pepper, and maybe some cumin.
Just like put a little bit of my pinky in the cumin and then just like
It is
Like the smallest
Like,
amount. The smallest
negligible
amount.
amount, like a sneeze.
Love it. Love it. Also, I think for Heaven, the hot dog that you threw back was like nothing, like barely a crumb, you know. She
Yeah.
gulped it down. She didn't even chew. It just went down all in one go, you know. Her head is as big as you are, so it was nothing, you know.
It's the thought that counts, you know.
It's the thought that counts. Thought that counts.
Yeah, Mari's on bowl 2. Not a picky eater. We'll just absolutely down whatever. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Bowl 2 of parfait hot dog.
that's right.
It's getting ready. Okay. How about Mari or Rivet? What are you doing
So-
as we are traveling to Northcrest Hember?
Yeah, I think that like I've been working on a delivery mechanism for feeding Earth like easily, and just like as like we prepare whatever food we would feed it. It's like this really almost like fishing rod, like really really long telescoping rod that just kind of like wags, and like I put whatever like bundle of sustenance on the end of it and just kind of walk towards the tail and just bending this thing down with like a rope and just kind of pulling it taut just so it kind of like as an arm swings in the other direction around and over towards Earth's mouth.
I'm getting like it's giving like really convoluted carrot on a stick. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well, it's also like
it's
in Mad
ki-
Max when they like ride those like wiggly poles and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah. The bendy pole.
I love
Great.
it.
So is this you are you trying to construct this thing, or is this
Yeah, I
something
was
that
kind of like
pre-exists?
trying to get this thing constructed so it's easier to feed Earth specifically, because typically like I feel like heaven kind of just like swoops in to get the food that we're preparing, but it's always been like more
Right.
arduous to like work up the neck of Earth to
You
like
gotta climb the
yeah, like
fur.
it's always been a thing. So I'm like, this needs to not be a thing anymore.
Uh-huh. Love it. Okay, so let's have our first roll of the session then. To
Ooh.
construct this, you are going to build this new upgrade by rolling modify. So modify is under your focus stat.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a little progress plant, because no big upgrade is made overnight, although sometimes, depends on how skilled you are. And we are we're gonna roll to see how the construction goes. So this progress plant is gonna have 3 leaves on it.
In what ways
Um,
does modify or invent differ?
Great question. So invent allows you to make items like you'd get from equipment points, or like your trinket. Invent allows you to make entirely new things,
Mhm.
whereas modify, the skill that everyone has, you actually
Yeah.
can't build new things with. You are just
Changing
yeah,
what's already
yep.
there. Gotcha.
just changing what's there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, invent is for making
so-
like gadgets and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
So I'm gonna roll 5 from focus and then add 1 more die from modify.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so
And
roll
if you're
6.
honestly, your crowbar thing might
Right.
not crowbar, sorry, your wrench, your staff
Mhm.
might help you out here as well. So
So that would give
that
me
could be
another
an extra die.
Okay, cool.
Correct. Yeah.
Holy I don't have a 6.
No.
do
Out
not
of how
have a
many
6.
dice?
I know, out of 7 die, I do not have a 6. You gotta understand, I
you're-
normally run games, so this is the curse that carries over.
Well, I love that I don't have to roll in this game, because on games where I do roll,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I every game I've made one, and most of the games I run Cypher, I don't have to roll.
Yeah, it's better this way.
Yep.
Yeah. I've run sessions of Between Clouds that don't have a single failure in it, because it's just sometimes the game is easygoing like that.
Let me
But other times
let
it's
me
not.
pitch you a potential reason why this doesn't work for me.
Sure.
Every once
sure.
in a while, like even in choosing my power, I was like, this is totally juxtaposed to what I normally am wanting to do. So I feel like every
Mhm.
once in a while, like it kind of accidentally happens where I rust something and it breaks instead of like while I'm building
Oh, because of your rusting power. I love that. So, okay. So, in conjunction with that, each character has 4 different conditions that they can mark when things go wrong. The conditions are difficult for me to find now. I
Exhausted,
don't know
injured,
why.
heated, and worried.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So, if you could pick one of those conditions and mark it and explain to me how you're accidentally rusting this thing, explain to me how your failure contributes to that.
Yeah, I'm just worried now. This is a bad way to start the
No.
day. Just overall
Oh.
really insecure about that,
Rivet.
I was feeling really confident about this new system of not having to hike up Earth's neck. And as soon as I get it, I'm all walking happily towards the back with my my wrench kind of connected to this rope that's pulling the arm down, and I'm tying up the bundle and stuff, and I close the metal latch that connects this bundle to the end of the pole, and as I do happily shut it, it decays, rusts, and snaps and just flings the bundle
No.
of food into the distance, and I just go,
It just goes flying.
just all 4 hands just on all sides of the head, just
This is not gonna be the day I thought it would be.
Oh, Rivet. Oh no. Yeah, I think Heaven sees that and kind of actually flies a little lower and very lightly brushes up against you to provide a little comfort, little support. So, yeah. Oh, Rivet. Okay. Last but not least, DJ, what is your also at any point, so you have this condition, I'll explain the conditions.
Mhm.
You have this condition, you now take a -1 die penalty to all of your rolls. You also have a unity point as a family. So Mari or Mo, if either of you want to console Rivet and cure this condition so they're no longer worried, you're welcome to do so at any time. Or you can save the unity point and it might come up later. But that's just something to think about and something to know. So
I'll let them stew for a bit.
damn.
I'm just really focused on what I'm doing, which is I'm attempting to chart the course and use my navigation skills to point us in the right direction using the instructions that Mo gave.
Okay, great.
Is there any way I can offer aid with my trinket?
You can, not with your trinket in particular, but you can assist with the roll, and that would just give Mari an extra die.
Nice.
So if this is something you could logically help out with.
So I have a dot and navigate, so that I get a die from that, and then the 4 from my focus, right?
Correct. Yeah, if you have 1 in navigate, 4 from focus, so it'd be a 5 plus the extra die from Mo, who's giving you some pointers.
All right.
I will say, I should warn you, Mo Verna, if you do want to give some pointers and help Calamari out here, you are also tied to the result of the roll. So if Calamari fails, you two will take a condition.
Okay.
Do you still want to help?
I am going to aid anyways.
Love it.
I'm a real good
I'm
D6 roller, so
don't say that.
Okay.
Don't say that. Why would you say that?
all right.
If you look at the sun here, right? Well, Mary over here, all right? I want you to see heaven is usually always something. There she is, there. You see?
You just see me walking behind with my head in my hands this day already.
Just pacing.
Notice how just pacing back and forth. Oh, he's sulking again.
No.
Notice how the light hits the fur there and lights up that constellation, right? It is there that we're going to find true north. You can't actually trust most compasses here, okay?
So much for the fling swing.
No.
It's going to be all right. We're going to get through this. You are better than what you think you are today.
Hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna roll my handful of dice.
Oh gosh, here we go.
All right. So we did get a single 6
Woo!
and a sea of 1s and 2s.
Awooga.
Okay. Glad those don't count for anything. All right. All right. Yeah, so this actually is kind of perfect transition into the next part of our travel here.
All right.
And as we're moving forward, I'd like to kind of set the scene. I think currently it is midday and the sun is high. But as you are moving towards Northcrest Hember, you see that the sun is kind of obscured with this like yellowish green tinge, as there is kind of a haze of spores all around you, and you are getting deeper and deeper into this fungal biome. And ahead of you in the distance, you can see, poking out of the cloud sea beneath you, these large mega fungi, these oversized like mushrooms that are gnarled and twisting, and there are mycelium growing up on them. And they're these vast organisms that are peeking up out of the clouds and kind of spread out before you. If you want a rough image of that, and actually the page we'll be working off of next, there is a fungal biome page on 148, which has my very crude illustration. At least it has a little color palette of what this fungal area might look like. And you know what? Actually, heaven and earth love that we are here. As you notice, heaven and earth, earth taking you along, and heaven flying higher up above, you notice that their lights are actually glowing a little brighter than before. And earth, who you are riding on, lets out a very goat-like kind of bleats in joy as you approach this fungal biome. So
I feel like
I'm actually
my
going.
normally like almost armor like mushroom coverings all over my body all are just kind of like flaring up, and for like you usually don't see my face as I've like mutated over time very much. It's mostly just like obfuscated by those, but like you can kind of see it a little bit better right now as those all just begin to stand up a bit.
Cool. Yeah, they're like on edge and kind of reacting to
Yeah.
where we're at. Awesome. So with that, I would love if one of you would roll 2 6-sided dice.
I'll do it because I have great luck with die.
Okay.
It's a 6 and a
Believe in you.
4.
A 6 and a 4. And then actually, if someone else, either DJ or Will, would do the same thing again.
6 and a 1.
Ooh.
Okay. 6 4 and 6 1.
I love it whenever you use roller tables and all the players are like, ooh, a 6. I'm like, it's just another line on the table.
Right. It's actually the same as everything else. Okay, so a 6 and a 4 and a 6 and a 1. Whoa, very interesting. Okay. So no weather. So there's 2 kinds of travel events that can happen as you're moving towards a location. In this case, Northcrest Hember. The first is weather, and the second are encounters. Both of these are potential encounters that may happen as you are traveling to the spot. Yeah, okay, so, and this is because you, Calamari, charted course. I'll tell you what you see ahead as you are looking into the distance. So on the left-hand side, you are looking ahead and you see it is an area that's rather nondescript. Visually, it looks much like the rest, but you hear this faint siren song coming from that direction, almost like a wailing. And you see that the wind and the spores are blowing in peculiar fluctuations over on that part of the cloud sea. Then, as you are looking ahead and hearing this and kind of dreading, like, oh Lord, I hope we don't have to go through that, you do notice to the right, it appears there is an area where these fluctuations are much less and the sound is not coming from over there. And you see a number of small boats. Should they be small? They should. You see, I think 2 small vessels, ironclad ones, just like humble skiffs, floating around one of the large mushrooms over to the right, where the air is a bit more calm. So these are kind of your 2 paths, if you will.
What do you think?
I think
Obviously,
the
we
day
should-
started out poorly. I don't know exactly what we're going to do next, but it doesn't feel good.
Right. Let's go with that latter option.
Door number
Sounds
2.
great. Yeah. So Earth lets out another chortle and takes you further ahead. Or I think actually she kind of like swings to the right. You kind of actually feel her whole body dive to the right, and things on the saddle shift a little bit as she turns and heads off towards these 2 skiffs gathered around one of the mushrooms. And as she approaches closer, you see that these people are, Moverna, you especially recognize them from your travels. These people are but simple mushroom harvesters. They are out here cutting up the fungi, either for food or for construction or whatever other means they may need it for.
Do they seem to be connected to like a large company, or does it just seem to be just 2, I guess, small business owners or small families just grabbing what they need?
The latter option, they're humble.
Okay.
Yes, yep. No, they're not flying any like major faction flags or anything. Yep. Do y'all want to try and sneak past them? Do y'all want to say hello?
I
What
definitely
are we
think
thinking?
that, yeah, I'm more leaning towards the hello side of things, just kind of seeing what they're harvesting. I mean, we're headed into the area for gathering resources and re-gearing, so if we could connect with a trader of harvested fungal resources, that could be a boon to us.
Help us fix our
Totally.
kitchen.
Cool. Yeah. So y'all, or Earth, kind of flies up a bit closer to the skiffs, and they see you coming far before you reach them, of course, since you are atop these 2 massive, flying, illuminated, goat-like Kieran. and I think maybe each skiff has like 3, like 2 or 3 people aboard it, so they're working in small crews for sure. And everybody kind of like moves away a little cautiously. Everyone kind of cowers, except for one person who stands forward on the skiff as if to greet you and calls out to you, "Oh there, Kieran, symbiotes, what are you doing in these parts?"
Well, we're headed over to Northcrest, Southcrest Hember,
Northcrest Hember.
Northcrest Hember, and in search of goods and other re-gearing. We need quite a bit of resources. I see that you're out here harvesting the fungus. What is your specialty?
I understand. My apologies, symbiotes. If it is Northcrest Hember you seek, then I have no business with you. And this person, who has kind of a slender face and a slender frame,
told
they
you it
stand
was
maybe a foot
Southcrest
above the
Hember.
lust, turns, kind of turns their chin up a little bit.
Oh, well,
I've never understood this feud before. It doesn't really make sense. Like, the towns are 5 miles apart from each other. They're connected by a bridge. They trade goods all the time. It's 2 sports teams that do this. You understand that, right? These humans, I don't.
Mo, are you saying this? Are you kind of whispering this like to your fellow family members, or are you saying it so that these mushroom harvesters can hear as well?
Oh man, what am I actually doing? I think I'm explaining the situation to Rivet, but I don't have the most social awareness, so I might be talking a little bit louder.
I meant
Okay.
to say Southcrest Hember. I apologize for the offense if there was any.
I think another person on this on the same skiff, like a short, kind of muscular butch person, stands up and cries out at you, Moverna, and says something like, "Hey, it's more than just a sports feud, you know."
I'm sorry, I did not mean to diminish any pride that you have in your town. We're simply trying to go to a Crest Hember in hopes to get some sort of supplies. Okay, look, if I'm going to be really honest with you, I'm being vulnerable now. About like a week and a half ago, I was cooking in our kitchen, and a Bunsen burner that I thought had turned off. I didn't smell any butane. It was fine. Caught fire, and we're trying to replace the countertop.
I smelled the butane.
I smelled the smoke.
Somebody's. We all smelled the smoke for like 2 weeks trying to sleep in there.
All right, so you're looking for parts. Well, I'm here to say that Northcrest Hember has nothing for you. If you want quality parts, that is, any technology resembling the modern world, Southcrest Hember is simply where you must go.
Sold, we're in.
But I thought we wanted to go for like a rustic, like cutting board style countertop.
This is about function.
Okay, fine. We don't need to fight with these people. Thank you for the advice.
Okay. And actually, I think as y'all are about to take off and continue on your way, Earth, you encourage Earth to kind of like fly past these skiffs, right? And Earth actually kind of pauses and stops short, and a bunch of stuff on the saddle like whoosh, goes flying. You hear like, I don't know, some silverware clatter on the ground, right?
I have to rearrange all my wrenches.
And Earth stops, and you see the glowing mushrooms on her body flare, and she lets out a kind of a low growl at these mushroom harvesters. And this is her being protective. She is lashing out at strangers, which is part of her protective personality. This is her being protective of you because these people were a little bit rude, and she doesn't entirely trust them.
Not this again.
So, what I am going to do is I'm going to mark a point on a pressure plant for the people of South Hember and their attitudes towards y'all. So I've marked 1 leaf.
Interesting.
Ooh. Now, there's a couple of options for how this could play out. And I'm going to go now to wild points on page 118. Okay, so I do have the choice to have Earth continue to act out and act on her impulses here and be even more protective. But I actually think I'm not going to choose that. I think at this point, Earth just wanted to do a warning growl. But for reference in the future, when I choose to act out, I can push it further and mark even more leaves and get even more wild points. So, I think I think the scrawnier butch one who was really talking positively about sports, about spore ball or whatever they play here, you quickly see her kind of like recoil and go "Rah!" and let out a very childish scream. And the taller one, who's in charge, says, "Does your beast always act like that?"
I mean, it meant no harm at all. It was just it sensed a little bit of tension when you were talking about Northcrest Hember and Southcrest Hember. Our tier is just a big teddy bear, nice as can be.
And I
You're
think
safe.
I think Earth lets out kind of like a brr, kind of like a low purr, if you will. So
I kind of like kneel down and just kind of like pat Earth, like, good Earth.
yeah, she's better now. She just had to let it out, per se.
I feel like when you pat
Um,
Earth, like fist-sized tardigrades just kind of like crawl through the fur.
Oh my,
Terrifying.
like large, like really large. Wow,
We tried cooking them once. It did not go well.
love it. Cool. Yeah. So y'all kind of get on your way. Gosh, these horrifying fist-sized tardigrades. And well, here's a question. Are you trying to head now towards Northcrest Hember or Southcrest Hember?
Honestly, after the way they treated us, probably
North it is.
Northcrest.
You're going. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You're like actually those people are kind of terrible.
So much hospitality.
Okay.
We have no
Yeah.
loyalty to a Crest Hember. We just need stuff.
Yeah.
We just need the parts. Right. Interesting. I think, okay, so actually I think one of them sees these like tardigrades, right? Kind of like crawling out of the fur, you know? And points at them and says to the other person, "See, and that is why I refuse to go to Northcrest Hember, because, young one, you must understand, the place is positively infested with the things, top to bottom."
That's not very nice.
I
Why
can
would you hold that
guarantee you-
against somebody?
I can guarantee you've never seen tardigrades this size before.
Oh, I positively have the one time I visited. But that's okay. I've heard they'll be eradicating the thing soon. With any luck, that is. If they could accomplish anything.
I don't think he knows that tardigrades are immortal.
Right. So can they eradicate them? We'll see.
You could relocate
Interesting.
them.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Man,
You don't really show too
tardigrades-
much hospitality for your home. You simply just throw around accusations and frustration towards another location when you're not really winning us over.
What is your name, symbiote?
Well, it's Rivet.
Well, Rivet, you and your family can go to Northcrest Hember, and when you then travel south back to a clean, civilized, dignified location, you'll understand precisely what I am talking about.
Okay.
Rivet fully unfazed.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and with that, I think Earth kind of takes off, maybe even kind of keeping a breadth around these people.
Just wide berth.
Wide berth. And so with this, I would love if y'all could go to page 160.
Absolutely, we can.
Ooh.
So you travel along for maybe another hour, perhaps, kind of ducking and weaving between these mega fungi, sometimes often traveling above them, sometimes traveling underneath the tallest of them. These things are truly massive. But as you move through this thick kind of yellowish cloud of spores that permeates the entire biome, you see a silhouette in the distance, like a pillar on the horizon. It is just this tower, this silhouetted tower against the cloud of spores. And as you get close, you see an old world super scraper, something that is probably hundreds of stories tall. It stands taller than most of the mega fungi around it, and it certainly stands taller than the cloud sea. This particular tower is known as Northcrest Hember, where you have arrived. And you see on a cursory glance that the place is in a state of disrepair. The building is rusted, and the fungi has taken over the entire base of the building. So at this point, I'm going to ask for y'all's help with building out Northcrest Hember. And to do that, if you see on page 160, you see that the location has traits and places. It says choose 3 or more, and then choose 3 or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to start off with, if each of you could choose a trait for this place.
So the people out on the skiffs, based on how they described it as wildly uncivilized, I mean, I'll probably go with like the where was it? I thought I saw it. Yeah, I think it's just like super chaotic, both in like the layout and in the like culture. Like I think that they're labeling it as just like uncivilized, but it's really quite like diverse and like populated with like a lot of different things going on, and that's kind of seen as like too much for the people of Northcrest Hember.
Right. They would like things more neat, more orderly.
It's like mismatched, like, you know, it's not like everything's mixed up and all over the place. There's stuff from different biomes and like cultures being mixed together that they don't feel like should.
Right. Love it. Okay. So your trait that you're giving the place is chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
It's right.
And
yeah, I kind of love that. It's like maybe this tower isn't really a monolith. Like maybe it just has all these disparate elements living in it, kind of.
They're very friendly. It's just a very friendly place.
Love it. Oh,
less likely to be upset at you for going to south as opposed to north.
Right.
It's like maybe, a one-way feud mostly.
Yes. I was gonna say it's like a feud, but it's kind of not. It's kind of asymmetrical, really. Like the other people are just hoity-toity.
Yeah,
it's very much along those lines of like, I think about what you did every day, and they just turn to go, I don't think about you at all.
Right. Love that. Love that. Okay. Mo, how about you?
They're fairly religious. They actually all practice a form of dudism, and they all abide.
They all abide.
And yeah, which kind of like goes into like the friendly, aspect. You see a lot of monks, Dudist monks, walking around.
Love it.
And they're constantly like feeding the poor and whatnot. But because everybody's kind of feeding everybody, no one's really poor. Just everybody feeds everybody, and it's a nice place to be.
That sounds radical.
Smells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
like a diverse communist like hovel is what we're talking.
Yes.
In many ways, I would say that Northcrest Hember resembles your family's saddle in a number of regards. Maybe I'm just saying, maybe a little stinky, falling apart in places, but very chill and very welcoming.
Love it.
Great. Okay, so moving on from that, we're going to pick some places that you might find in the Tower of Northcrest Hember. And as you're picking these places, remember that this was a super scraper back at the height of the old world. So this place is hundreds of stories tall and certainly could contain shopping malls, arenas, whatever else. So, yeah, maybe let's go in reverse order this time. If Mo, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So one thing that we notice about North Crest Hember is that there are fighting arenas everywhere, and they really
Whoa.
take that sport very seriously, which is kind of funny because South Crest Hember is like, oh, we have a better sport ball team than you do, but okay, that's fine. We just do that for fun, but we're going to, practice these dudist martial arts from the time we're like 3 until we die. So, yeah.
I also feel like maybe perhaps the people of Northcrest Hember are a bit more like casual with their sporting, like they're really doing it for fun, for the joy of the thing. And perhaps the Southcrest people are, in fact, sticklers and very concerned with the specifics.
Rules lawyers.
Rules lawyers. They're like, that wasn't a 2-point conversion. Yeah. Perfect. Calamari.
Yeah.
How about you?
So this one's kind of a hybrid between the two because, it's big office building or, big tall skyscraper. There are nightclubs. There's a nightclub specifically called The Offices. And it's
What?
basically the offices have been converted into a club, and it's a very strange vibe. You walk inside and it's like
Cubicles.
it's a fluorescent
Party
lighting.
at the cubicle.
Yeah, the water cooler's the hot spot. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I like that they've reworked these offices to be kind of rowdy places.
But
I
it's
also
like-
imagine the clubs here are like a total melting pot too.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
yeah.
A lot of industrial techno. A lot.
People doing like the cyber goth
it's-
dance
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, like straight out of a Blade movie. Like, yeah.
Right. I love it. Okay. Rivet, what place do you see being here?
Windmills. Big old windmills.
What? Oh, okay. And are these just on top of the tower or like coming off of the sides as well?
I think that they're
Um,
definitely like on the tops, but there's also like a handful of really large ones that work like laterally that have to do with like up gusts and stuff like that. So there's just like
That's
huge
so
blades that kind of
cool.
like spin through the city.
Right. I love that. Okay. And these are producing like power, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. I love the lateral windmills. That rocks so hard.
Catch that
Um,
updraft.
Cool. So yeah, y'all approach with that. We kind of have a much better idea of what Northcrest Hember is like. And I'm gonna say that Mo, you as the Wayfinder, have limited knowledge of this place, but you do know from what you've heard that this place is run by what the major factions of Imperia would consider to be pirates. Are they true pirates? Are they pillaging? Or are they just fun-loving people living outside the system? Who can say? But it is deemed to be run by pirates. So, I think y'all approach the tower of Northcrest Hember, and you kind of find this like large, like a bay, like a docking area where ships might be. It's this kind of rusted metal platform, has old worn chipped paint on it, and it is precariously protruding from the side of this tower. And Earth takes you right up to the edge, and Heaven follows distantly behind, and y'all can disembark your saddle and finally climb aboard or get into the city of Northcrest Hember.
All right.
All right.
Mhm. I think as soon as you kind of touch down, you're on this platform, you're on this bay area. this metal overhang. And the attendant is like, "Whoa, dude, is that a Kieran?"
Yes. There's actually two of them. That just wait.
Oh,
Just wait
dude,
a
there's
moment
a
here.
oh, I see. Oh, there's a second one, dude. And kind of gets his friend is like, "Dude, there's two Kierans, man. Oh, and they're glowing. Dude, these things would go hard in the offices, dude. It's like a glow stick. Like a party, man." Whoa. Whoa. Um and yeah, then this person kind of like helps you out of your saddle, helps you get onto the landing. It's like, "So what are y'all here for?"
Resources primarily. And
We
food.
need to fix our kitchen.
Understood. Yeah, cool. Okay, we can get you resources. Just give me one moment. And you see this person. How do I describe this person? They're kind of dressed in like loose-fitting fabrics that are draped across their body, and then they have some tight leather belts gathered around their legs and waist. And they go over and check with what looks like a senior to them. Maybe like the loading dock officer, whoever this person may be. They're wearing a cool wide-brimmed hat. And they're kind of chatting a little. And then finally, this person comes over to you and says in a shockingly dignified voice, "Good day, symbiotes.
Good
Wait,
day.
good day.
You are of a peculiar variety, and although our dearest pirate Captain Pearl does allow for symbiotes here at Northcrest Hember, she asks that for the risk of your presence here, that a small tribute is paid."
I'm just gonna walk up and just kind of like hold my hand out, and then just like a bundle of cordyceps just kind of grows out of my hand, and I just kind of
Whoa.
and then I just kind of hand it, like flowers out of my hand. I'm doing the thing with the floral body.
Love it.
Yeah. Pick
Cool.
beautiful flowers from your body to gift or haggle away to others.
Love it. Okay, so this like kind of officer, this pirate officer person, was going to ask you to, from the attitude option for the towers to, symbiotes and Kieran can be here if they're willing to resolve a mechanical problem first. But perhaps you
Fine.
could haggle. No, but perhaps you could haggle your way out of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that this bundle of mushrooms alone
Not at all.
would be
Not at all.
when it would be particularly easy, but you could still try it. I think
Yeah.
it would be like a difficulty like 3 maybe.
That's gonna be so hard for me.
But you're welcome to try. You're
yeah.
so welcome
It's
to try.
totally fine if I fail this. That's totally fine with me. But
I love it.
Yeah, I'll just be like, we're really just looking for resources. So if we can help with something small and be on our way, that'd be great. If you don't mind. You are welcome to keep those though.
And she raises an eyebrow. And you are going to roll or no?
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
I gotta get 3, and I'm rolling
Let's do it.
3.
I love it.
You're giving the
Not a
You're
single
rolling the
one.
mushrooms.
Not a single one.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
So
Sorry. I was only allowed to roll 2 anyway, because I'm still worried.
That's right.
Oh. Okay.
Oops.
Do you want to undo that roll then, Rivet, since it wasn't feasible from the jump?
I mean, it can fail. We can fail forward.
We can fail forward. I love it. Okay. So, yeah, wow. Oh, so what condition are you marking?
I think that like I've been worried all morning But like now I'm
Mhm.
just getting annoyed that things are not going my way. I'm like, I grew those myself and it did nothing. Are you kidding me? Like I'm just getting like worried
No.
and annoyed and like heated more internally than anything.
I would like
Mm.
to s- console my friend now.
Ah,
It's okay.
I love it. Okay.
I
Yeah, what
grew
do
I
you
grew the mushrooms and I gave them
no,
and
you,
I said
you did
I
a
was
good.
trying to keep it
You did.
simple and
No,
then
no,
not
yeah.
have to do a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
I feel like that's a reasonable thing to say to
Listen.
somebody. So you like,
Yep,
can we
yep,
not make
listen.
this complicated? Because I just don't really want to do a
You
bunch
can only
of dumb
focus on
stuff.
what you can provide for other people, not worry about the
provided
emotional
mushrooms.
response that they're going to provide for you, right? So
Wow.
just because you're giving doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be receiving.
It's
And
not that I
that's
needed
okay.
them to.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So, what would you
Eh.
like from us here? We just need some supplies, but we are incredibly handy, or, well, if you have hands. Tentacles.
And you do the tentacles.
I've got enough
Um,
hands for all of us.
I can be
she says,
shockingly good at
"Well,
things. Shocks.
that full of puns, full of puns." She says, "Well, you see, the last family of symbiotes that we had stop through Northcrest Hember were, how do I say, particularly rowdy, and as something fell from their saddle, it landed precisely on top of one of our windmills, entirely dislodging the blades and ruining its functionality."
You see Rivet like holding head in all hands. As soon as something is broken and needs fixing, just all hands go down. Just like spins his head, spins their head, just like
I needed
Head ripped over. Yeah. So she says, a simple repair would certainly suffice for Captain Pearl. The aforementioned windmill is but 15 stories below us.
I think we can handle that.
And and you actually at this point kind of see her walk to the edge of this platform and point down, and you look like way down the side of this super scraper, and you do see kind of this like broken turbine way down below.
Let's do it. Do we need to hoof it
Yeah.
or do we take our Kieran down?
I think Earth could take you
All right.
there.
Earth, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a jiff.
So in DJ helping me, does that remove one of my conditions?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll get
Are
rid of
you
worried.
no longer worried?
Yeah, I'm no longer worried, but I'm gonna get this done, and I'm still frustrated at myself. I'm letting it fuel me.
You're like, why do I have to do this?
Yep.
What is it? Why didn't she
Come
like my
on.
mushrooms? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. So you get down to this wind turbine. Earth takes you down. And I'm going to say this probably isn't too difficult of a repair. But I think it's going to require 3 successes on a progress plan.
All right.
And what you see is there's like this round circular outer casing, which is intact. But the blades itself, which are all one piece, like 2 of the blades have been smashed off. They're just totally gone. There's like bent, twisted, broken metal there. And then the entire like blade unit is kind of like tipped sideways at a 45-degree angle and just precariously kind of like hanging on the rest of the turbine fixture, almost kind of swinging in the wind. So that is the turbine that needs to be repaired. What are y'all's thoughts on how to get this accomplished? Don't forget, you do have equipment points to help you as well. And I also welcome creative skill usage. Like if you want to, I don't know, like try and duel this turbine back into place, I'm so happy to hear you out.
I definitely think that Rivet would just like, as we like kind of fly around, I'm looking for like pieces that are obstructing it that need to be moved in order for it to spin again, even if it has less blades or something like that.
For sure.
And once I've got a good feel for that, I can go in potentially using Unity points and like fully rust off those pieces if need be.
And I can shoot it with my harpoon in order to help grab debris off of it, because that's the thing I am the best at, is shooting things with my harpoon.
Indeed. Great. Okay, so what skill would you be using then, Rivet, to
I feel like it'd probably even modify, essentially just removing the most damaged pieces that are causing it to be like stuck. And then
totally.
once those are gone, we can focus on like the deeper repair.
Okay. Sadly, y'all are fresh out of Unity points here, so rusting
Oh,
may
that's
not be
fair.
an option
Yep.
for you. But you are still welcome to repair normally.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I was going to say, I used my Unity point to make you feel better.
That's fine. So I'm rolling focus and then I add modify, I believe.
Yes, yeah, focus plus modify.
Okay. And then I definitely feel like if I'm not using rusting, I'm probably using my wrench to pull those bits off.
Right. Kind of +1 from wrench,
Yeah.
-1 from heated. Kind of goes back and
Right,
forth in an
exactly.
interesting way.
Okay, we got a success. A single
Nice.
one. So yeah, I'll just like go in and as we kind of get near the central hub, just begin to break off the most damaged bits, just kind of disconnecting them and unbolting them from the central hub so that those larger fins can kind of drop away.
Nice. Yeah, you kind of get in there with your wrench and start prying parts of it so it can kind of shift back into place. And as you hear it groan a little, like this heavy weight of metal, kind of like you hear it start groaning back into place. You hear a beeping sound, all three of you. Toot, toot, toot. And from seemingly the side of the tower, there is a panel that pops out, and you see tiny little insect-like robotic legs deploy from underneath it. And this thing starts skittering along down the side of the tower and towards the turbine. And you hear this steely, grainy robotic voice saying, "Tampering detected. Tampering detected." And this thing, who's in the saddle and who's on the turbine?
I feel like I'm over on the turbine for sure.
I'm definitely in the saddle.
I would probably be on the turbine.
Okay. So, Calamari, you are in the saddle, and the other two are on the turbine. And yeah, I'm going to introduce this old world guard bot, which is, I think, also has 3 leaves on a progress plant. And this thing has seemingly woken up per your mechanical tampering. This thing has woken up after centuries of time passed. Some wire just clicked as you began pulling the wires and moving these blades back into place. So this thing is trying to protect the tower that it is a part of. Okay, 1 second here. Cool. Okay, so how I'm going to play this then, because we kind of have 2 dueling progress plants, is I think I'm going to say, let's do 1 action for the rotors and then 1 action for this thing, for the guard bot, kind of alternating, going back and forth.
All right.
How large is the guard bot?
It's about the size of a human person.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
Yeah, given it's like
Gotcha.
horizontal, it's landscape mode, not portrait
Yep.
mode. So it's like, yeah, it's about the size of a human person
All right.
horizontally, for sure.
Well,
Mhm.
I've got a harpoon gun, and I can see everything that's going on. While my friends are attempting to, fix the windmill, I would like to
Mhm.
try to protect them from the guard bot.
Great. I will also say that in this particular instance, because there's a combat going on and your Kieran is nearby, your Kieran is also now linked to the outcome of the roll. So if you fail a roll,
Gotcha.
it will take a condition along with you, just so you know. So that's what's at stake here when there's combat near the Kieran.
Good to know. So I guess that's an aim roll.
Yeah, and your trinket, your harpoon factors into it as well.
I've got 1-6.
I'll take it. Okay.
Nice thing about rolling 6
Um,
dice is chances are.
Right?
Odds are good. I mean, we saw with 7 dice earlier, but odds are still good. So yeah, how do you aim your harpoon? What do you say?
Yeah.
And like, what part of this guard bot do you take off with your shot?
Yeah, so I see the thing pop out of the side of the tower, and I grab my harpoon gun. I steady it on the side of the saddle and kind of like draw a bead on it. And what I'm wanting to do, because harpoon, I want it to be connected to a rope. And
Right.
so I just it's like scurrying over, and I shoot at its body, trying to slow it down or pull it off
Mhm.
eventually.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's kind of like actually the way you're positioned, almost kind of like scurrying away from you.
Mhm.
And so you're saying you hit it with the harpoon, so you can kind of like tether it and pull it back a little too.
Yeah. Yep, just kind of like
Yeah.
holding it back, as it's fighting me, like I'm fishing, because I'm a
We are
fisher.
bot fishing. I love right. I mean, hey, yeah, deadliest catch. um, great. Cool. Okay, so let's jump back to the turbine then. Mo, you haven't had an action yet. What would you like to do here?
What I would like to do is, I'd like to use my modify skill in some way. Let's see, like, what's another thing that's probably okay? Actually, I have an idea.
Love it.
Is there anything aside from the turbine here that is like some sort of tech or something that I can modify to maybe grab that robot's attention and kind of get it farther away from Rivet, so Rivet can do what Rivet does best.
Can work, so Rivet can cook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And I love that idea. Yeah, I think there's like the turbine casing, like the outer rim that you two are standing on, is pretty wide. And I think there are a lot of spots where there's like just little panels popping out and little like pressure release valves and et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you find some kind of like little electrical blinker or like a pressure release capsule type thing. And you just want to trigger it to get the guard bot's attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Love it. Yeah. Let's do a modify roll. Yeah.
Whatever. I have a stupid idea. I'm going to try to get some of this attention off of you. Hopefully, like kind of positioning myself so it's like would come back towards Earth as well, so we can kind of get more control on it. I'm going to just mess a whole bunch of stuff up. You got this. You failed twice today, but that's fine. It's a new day. It's a new time. You've got this. And then I like see a whole bunch of panels
and I'm
with
gonna make
buttons,
it work.
and I'm just like running my hands across them.
Love a good click, 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 click. Yeah, I
Yep.
love it. Also, last but not least, this is an opportunity where maybe your bioluminescence, you could like flare it up, and that could also help distract the bot too. You could just make yourself this beacon kind of.
Oh, yeah. I am the sun.
Okay, okay. So yeah, grab an extra die for that as well.
And Mo, would you consider us being in a place that we shouldn't be?
Oh, gosh. Yes. But I also believe that the best place for us is on the back of Earth.
And we're kind of exploring about, yeah. Exploring in places we shouldn't be.
Possibly, but we did get permission to come down here. So as far as like, should we be here or not, that's kind of a personal.
Well, that bot feels like we shouldn't be here. So
that is true. If you look at things from the perspective of that little weird man crab robot thing, we should not be here at all.
Cough, coughs, fishing for unity points. Cough, cough.
Love it. What is whose support?
So Mo has exploring in places that you shouldn't be, and so I was like, well, we're kind of like, or is that the mechanic or is that the wayfinder? I think.
Oh, you are the wayfinder. Yes. Oh my gosh, you're so exploring in places you shouldn't be. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I got the roles mixed up there. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does the support say? It's like asking for advice about places you shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was fishing for that. Like, just now that we're down here, like I just don't know if we should be here for very long. We should probably get this done and go. What do you? What should we do here?
If you want my advice on what to happen if you're someplace where you feel like you should not be, you should simply tell yourself, "I am meant to be here."
I am meant to be here.
Fake it until you make it. That's what I do.
All right, let's go.
No, say it with me. I am meant to be here.
I am meant to be here.
With more, I need more from you. I am meant to be here.
I am meant to be here.
That was significantly better than before, but we'll work on it.
I am meant to be here.
That was weird inflections like William Dafoe.
I am meant to be here.
There it is.
Love
we put the question mark in the middle of the sentence that time. We're doing better.
Okay, and so for context, the support options for other players are actually just listed under support, whereas the bonds, which is where the exploring places that you shouldn't be option was, the bonds are for Kieran. However, because I love the roleplay that just happened, I will still definitely award a unity.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, I love the gumption.
Playing the game wrong, but in the right way.
But in the spirit is there. That's all that counts. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Great. Yeah, that was a good moment. So yeah, how did your roll go for smacking every button you can see?
2 1s and 0 6s.
2 1s and 0. Okay.
So real bad.
But with a lot of enthusiasm.
No. Okay. Wow. So, yeah, find a condition that you would like to mark, Moverna, and I'm actually going to do the same for Earth, since Earth is kind of in the line of fire here.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be just fine, I swear.
Oh, man.
I mean, you could sufficiently get its attention and then it hurts you.
Well, that would still be like a win, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I allow definitely there are options for failure where you still succeed at what you're attempting to do, but there is like a great cost to it. That can also count as a failure. I think there are a lot of options listed in the book where it's like you get the door open, but the alarm goes off and it's like, oh shit. So you could totally get its attention and then be struck by an attack.
Okay. Yeah. So I am quite a distracting person, and the
but what about your character?
That also too. Okay. So what happens is Mo goes over and starts hitting a whole bunch of light buttons and stuff and making things light up like crazy, which works great. But the evil crow crab robot man thing comes over, but its feet are very, very spiky. And
Mhm.
as it runs over, it steps on my foot.
Ooh.
And pins me into place.
No. Oh.
I cannot help you. And I have it here. It's fine. Ow.
I am meant to be here.
Rivet, rivet, carrying through, pushing through. Okay. Yeah, and then for let's see. For heaven and earth's part, yeah. Oh gosh, you know what? I think this just makes Earth sad and heaven sad. So I'm gonna check the sullen condition.
Oh,
And what that does is it means that y'all actually cannot gain unity points by bonding with the Kirin until this is recovered. How do you recover it? By feeding them fish, which you can go fishing, or you could probably buy fish at the settlement here. You could barter for some. But for the time being, you can't watch the sunset and bond with your Kirin in that way. Because she's just so sad that you got stabbed through the foot. That's horrible. Yeah. And in a symbiotic way, as soon as that happens, you kind of actually hear Earth let out a like a pained bleat when you get poked through the foot. So back at the turbine, Rivet, how is that going?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like monkey swinging my way along, like on the whatever equivalent of like duct work and pipes and stuff around the turbine, and getting myself in a more advantageous situation, and then just like working on the next part that needs some attention. So yeah, I think I'm probably rolling another modify to
Great.
get this as close to working condition as possible. Extra limbs, wrench, and then 6 for focus and then modify, and then take 1 away for heated. So I'm at 7.
Love the pre-roll math every time. So special.
I got 1 6.
Okay. We are making
rolling
progress
terrible.
so steadily and so surely. Great. Okay, yeah. So are you still just like kind of cranking with
Yeah,
your
I'm just
wrench?
like
How's
bending
the
things into
progress looking?
place, or like removing parts that are like too damaged in this situation, so that eventually it can like freely move and like get, or like if we lodge it back, probably the next move that needs to happen is like I've removed a lot of the bits that would jam up that have been mangled by it like being dislodged. The next thing probably is it needs to get pushed back into place or something along those lines, and then it hopefully can free spin.
Nice. Yeah. I think, yeah, as you're doing this, there's like parts of scrap kind of like falling down into the below, like hundreds of feet, just like needless pieces that are kind of holding it in place or whatever. Yeah. I think the final piece of this actually interesting. I think Heaven is actually going to help out here. I think Heaven sees you struggling and is actually going to fly down and use one of the 2 wild points that the Kirin have. So Heaven's going to use her wild point, and I'm looking at the Star Soul Wonders, and one of the biological wonders that she can use says call upon microorganisms to dissolve, rust, or fortify metal. Which works great. So I think Heaven is going to come down, and you're kind of like struggling with your staff and knocking parts off. And I think while she's still flying, she's just going to lower her head and very gently just rest her 2 big gnarled horns on the side of the turbine. And you see this like brilliant kind of glowing green orange, kind of like this fizziness where the horns touch down. And then you watch as all of these little bioluminescent microorganisms spread across the turbine and the whole turbine gets this glow to it, and they begin rusting it away in certain areas. And as they are like dissolving these bits of metal to lodge it free, the fan finally corrects itself and sits back into place.
You just hear as Mari goes, "Whoa, heaven, let your light shine down." But no more because I'm not because of copyright reasons, and it's got to be fair use.
I love that. This is what she does. She's letting her light shine down.
It's true.
Yeah, and then the microorganisms kind of like fortify the fan in certain places, and then this glow kind of fades away. And so that wild point is spent, and that plant is fulfilled. And now there is just this bot left. So either Calamari or Mo, what are y'all thinking about that?
I'm gonna use my aim. I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna yank. I'm gonna try and get that thing out of here. 1, 2,
Love
3,
it.
4,
Okay.
5, 6.
I feel like in this game, death by falling is like it's definitely up there.
It's got to be so likely. I mean, with the Kieran, it's nice though, because there's always this easy save of like,
Right,
they
a
swoop
swoop.
and
Right.
grab you. But I've definitely had brawls where, pirates or poachers or whatever go overboard, and
Mhm.
people are like, "Did we just unalive someone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't know. They just went overboard."
There might
Technically,
be a mushroom
gravity
down there they
unalived
land
them.
on.
I don't
I
know.
got 2
Cause and
6s.
effect.
You got 2.
I got 2.
Whoa! Tell us how you coolly finish off this
Yeah.
bot then.
So I pull, and like the harpoon comes out, and like I like reel it in so I can like fire it back up, because that's how my harpoon gun works. Is it's like a fishing pole, and then I aim
Okay.
it and yank again and pull the robot off. Yeah, it's like ripping
Right off your
the
foot.
Band-Aid off real quick.
No, no, this is way worse than that.
I like to think the hand crank on your harpoon is like an old hand crank from like a car.
Oh yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes.
Yep. So
Like
and,
an old
and-
Camry.
and it goes falling down. And Earth and I are going to swing back around and provide exits in case any more robots decide they want to show up.
Nice. Yeah, so you like pull it straight over the edge, kind of.
Yeah.
Just tumbles down into the below. Yeah, the fan is back up and working. This threat is diminished. Earth kind of lets out a huff now that it's all said and done. How are the three of you feeling after this? I mean, like Mo, how is your foot?
It stings a lot.
Proud,
Spirits are up.
we accomplished it. We didn't burn anything down. That is where our spirits are at, because we were successful. Nothing caught on fire, and we fixed the thing, meaning we're going to be able to fix our kitchen. So I think we're pretty stoked, and we don't have to deal with those South Ember people. So
that rocks. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So Earth takes y'all back up to the to the dock area, and you are approached yet again by this kind of like dock master person with the fancy hat, this kind of pirate overseer, if
The one
you
who didn't
will.
like my mushrooms.
Right. She just kind of stuffed them in her pocket or whatever.
No way to keep mushrooms.
And she says, "Well then, is it quite prepared yet?"
Take a look
Should
for
be
yourself.
good. We even reinforced it, gave it a little extra oomph.
The other person who you first met here comes over and is like, whoa, are you guys all right? That was, I've seen one of those. I mean, my uncle got messed up by one of those guard bots. They're nasty. I'm sorry. We wouldn't have sent you down there if we knew that was going to happen. Dudes, I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, it's not even an issue. We handled it like professionals. Because we're professionals.
Builds character.
Right. Well, sorry. Yeah, I just never want to put anyone in danger. Hey, why don't you all come with me and we can go to the market? You know, my boy Dimitri could hook you up maybe. He's got some radical supplies.
Sounds
We would love to meet Dimitri.
Absolutely.
You see this like kind of pirate overseer talking to a little radio and go, yes, they fixed it. The power is back up in section 3. Marvelous. Yes, I'll let them know, Pearl. Thank you. All right, symbiotes, you are granted access to enter Northcrest Hember.
Delightful.
Wonderful.
Let's go to the market.
And actually, I think this is, interestingly, I actually think this might be a good place to do dinner for our family and wrap
Absolutely.
up. I think maybe our little
Absolutely.
like dinner
Yeah.
epilogue scene could be y'all getting your supplies from the market, which they will happily sell to you. You know Dimitri will. He has it all. And then maybe dinner for this time around, for this session, it'd actually be kind of cute if it was like somewhere in Northcrest Hember,
Ramen
like
bar.
inside the tower. At the totally, yes, ramen bar for sure. Yeah, maybe actually, I think what would be cute. Maybe it's a ramen bar with a balcony.
Oh, yeah.
So that way
Oh, we could feed the
heaven and earth can be
Yeah, of
nearby as
course.
well. Yes.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay, cute. So final step of the game is we'll go to the dinner section, and that is located on page the end of the storyteller stuff. Let's see. It's on 137. All right. And so what we're going to do, we're at this little ramen bar, and we're going to, it's the third one down. It says second one down. Dinner prompts. Each player should select a prompt from the list below and use it as an opportunity to reflect on the session's events through roleplay or just through speaking about it. So you could talk about one of your worries. You could reassure someone else. You could make a silly joke. You could make a snide comment. You could reveal a part of your character's past or say what you won't do again. So whoever would like to start us off, the scene is we are at our ramen bar. The sun is setting, and you can see the silhouettes of these mega fungi breaking the horizon in the distance. And yeah, I think this ramen bar has a really cute kind of like neon glow to it. And you are gathered here with Earth and Heaven, which are kind of sleepily floating nearby. Who would like to pick a dinner prompt?
Mari lifts a glass and says, we did it. We all survived. We fixed a thing instead of breaking it. That is a major win and step in the right direction for us. And we're going to fix our kitchen.
We will fix the kitchen.
You hear
I am-
Earth let out a meh, like a celebratory bleat with that.
I am glad we were able to figure this one out. You know, it seems like the last, I don't know, maybe month or so, every destination we've gone to has been because we needed to fix something or whatnot. It seems like this is the final check, maybe. I don't worry about the big fishing rod thing to feed Earth. We're going to still figure that out, not Rivet. But I'm excited for us to, I don't know, maybe not take such a reactionary path. Maybe we find somewhere proactive. Maybe we find something interesting to discover.
The day just started with me wanting to make sure that Earth was able to eat normal. And right now, we can give Earth food. We'll figure out the delivery mechanism another time. Plus, if we fix our kitchen, we
Work
can
in
make
progress.
even better food. We got this.
Indeed.
Maybe Earth
Of course.
being able to eat now, finally, to get her fill. Maybe that's enough. You
Maybe
know?
that's enough.
Maybe that's good enough. I love it. Great. So with that, we kind of see the camera pan up and away from this ramen shop and our two Kieran. And we kind of get a view of the tower, the little balcony that y'all are on. and the sunset beyond it. And that is where we will wrap up our session.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Another huge thank you to Andy Licht for running a game of Between Clouds for us. It has been an absolute joy to have her on and share her creation with us. So if you're interested in picking up a copy, the link will be in the description below. But show her some love, and we will see you guys next time on One Shots Tavern.